comfort. And as a gift to you this holiday season, CNC is offering $500 off all new systems when you mention this ad through the end of the year. Search CNC Heating to schedule your system service analysis today. That's CNC Heating and Air Conditioning. Their family is here to keep your family comfortable all year long.
The Philly sports scene is exploding with excitement right now, and the Busch Auto Group is using a winning formula of their own to crush the competition. Not only does the Busch Auto Group's market-based pricing ensure you'll never pay too much for your next pre-owned vehicle, but right now, every pre-owned vehicle purchased at the Busch Auto Group comes with a 1-year maintenance plan. How about that for a Philly special? For full details, visit BuschAutoGroup.com. That's BUSH Autogroup.com today.
This is Staples.
So, rumor has it that Staples has everything I need to ship.
Mm-hmm. We have all the shipping supplies and services you need.
Boxes?
Yep.
Mailers?
Yeah, and we have UPS here in store.
Huh. What will Staples think of next?
Right?
No, seriously, I'm asking, what will they think of next?
Staples is your one-stop shipping destination. Now get 50% off shipping boxes, mailers, or tubes when you buy 5 of the same item in-store or online with 1-hour pickup. Staples, the best-kept secret in shipping. And 12/31. Exclusions apply. Visit staplesconnect.com/shipping for details.
Hi, it's John Kincaid for Landis Block and Concrete. We had a vision, we had a plan, and Landis Block helped us execute it. They've got a beautiful showroom in Souderton, Pennsylvania. We chose the most gorgeous materials, and we have now created our beautiful own jaw-dropping outdoor paradise. You know you want one. You know you've got a plan in your head. Go visit landisbc.com and get some ideas in their beautiful gallery. Then call them. Landis Block, jaw-dropping outdoor paradises.
My dad has a cold, but also has high blood pressure. That's why I got him Vicks NyQuil High Blood Pressure for fast, powerful nighttime relief. Unlike some ordinary cold medicines, it's specially formulated for people like my dad. NyQuil High Blood Pressure is sugar-free, alcohol-free, and decongestant-free.
Vicks NyQuil High Blood Pressure. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, cold and flu for people with high blood pressure.
Like my dad.
Medicine. Use as directed.
We all know Philly sports is big business, and we've got you covered every weekday with the Fanatic's Business of Sports reports that are powered by Pico for Business. For information on how your company can save with Pico's incentives, go to pico.com/business.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. We recently received a call from an injured person. The insurance company had offered them $11,000. We took the case over and got more than $2 million in court. Morgan & Morgan.
Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
During the holiday season, the New Jersey Transit Police Department reminds you that we must all work together to keep our transit system safe. Your attention is our most valuable asset. If you ride the train or bus, live or work near a station, be alert and aware of your surroundings. If something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. Report suspicious activity to 1-888-TIPS-NJT or text your report to NJTPD. New Jersey Transit urges you to help us keep our transit system safe. Report suspicious activity to 1-888-TIPS-NJT or text your report to NJTPD.
Fanatic fan favorites.
The football season is soaring. Don't sit on the sidelines and snooze. Fly like an eagle and schedule your free consultation with the team at Iron Mountain Men's Health. They'll help create a custom program to treat your ED and low T that's safe, affordable, and effective. Visit them at ironmountainmenshealth.com.
Fanatic fan favorites on 97.5 The Fanatic. WPEN Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station, home of the most entertaining sports talk in Philadelphia. 97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia. It's time now for Cuz Radio.
What up, Cuz? Deshaun Jackson gets a block. Are you kidding?
Talking with the Cuz.
Go Cuz. How you doing?
Stairs rips one into the night.
Stolen by the doctor. Yes, he's got it. Here he comes. Way rock the baby to sleep and slam dunk.
Look, Cuz, don't even try it, okay?
Now here's Anthony Gargano.
Why don't you get the hell out of here, Cuz?
And a very pleasant good morning to everybody. I am not Anthony Gargano. I am Kevin Cooney, along with Ray Dunne, who is sitting in for Andrew Salchunas. This is 97.5 The Fanatic. Welcome to the Midday Show on this Tuesday, December 27th. As we get a little further away from Eagles-Cowboys, the fallout still going on. We'll touch on that in a second. Sixers return to action tonight against the Washington Wizards. We'll talk about that as well. And we'll bring up a ton of little different topics. Have a couple guests. Jim Jackson will join us at noon to talk Flyers before they head to the West Coast for their 3-game California trip. Connor Orr, who did a tremendous story on SI.com on Shane Steichen, the Eagles offensive coordinator, and one of the hot coaching prospects, head coaching prospects coming on. He'll join us at 1. Ray Dunne, how are you doing?
I am doing well. How are you on this fine Tuesday?
You had your first solo show yesterday. This is my first one kind of sitting in this chair. I usually sit here.
Right. Physically, you usually sit in that chair, but the metaphorical chair.
Yeah, but having to kind of direct flow, this is the first time. So I'm a little nervous, so I'm going to be leaning on you here a little bit. But
lean all you want.
It's one of those days that we're going to have a good time. And Dan Fritz is behind the glass. Hello, Dan. How are you? As he waves. All over the place. Yes, you are. As we get to the topics at hand, main topic of the day, obviously, is Jalen Hurts and Lane Johnson. The Eagles, before they go into the Saints game, a lot of talk right now about the status on Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts still in that same area he was last week. Nobody's saying he's out. Nobody's saying he's in. We're going to probably know more by Thursday when they come back to practice. But I thought yesterday, Ray, the Lane Johnson injury changed everything for me. And if you had that temptation, if you had that urge to want to reach out and hit the bring Jalen Hurts back early button, you pull back from it because of the fact that you're missing your top guy. You're missing your top offensive lineman at right tackle. I don't want to take that chance with him at this point. So what would you do right now if Jalen Hurts comes to you and say, hey, coach, I'm ready to go?
Oh, if it's Jalen Hurts making the decision, no shot. No way. If it's just him saying, hey, I'm good. We need to get this number 1 seed. I feel the pressure with the injury around everyone else. Like, let's go out there. Let me go get that decision. I'm not letting him make that call. The only instance is if doctors and those higher up are like, hey, yeah, he'll be fine. He can roll with it, which to me doesn't really feel like this is the case at this point. You know, you had I think it was the Schefter report before the Cowboys game of there's some doubts, uncertainty with what he's going to do. And obviously the Ian Rappaport report yesterday suggested, hey, he might be good to go, or at least as good as he can be to go. But all of it seems to indicate, and I remember RG3 saying this was an injury that bothered him through an entire season.
Right.
That this is something that's going to be lingering, something that's going to be bothering him, where I'm not sitting here trying to rush and trying to push to have Jalen Hurts out there against a team that I really think the Eagles can take care of with Gardner Minshew.
Well, and that's the bottom line. If you can't beat the New Orleans Saints with Gardner Minshew and Jack Driscoll, then there's bigger problems at play here, because this is a Saints team that's not going to score a lot. You're not going to win a shootout, I would think, because I don't think you're going to have to play a shootout. If you get to 24 points, you should beat the New Orleans Saints right now, because that offense, Chris Olave missed last week, I believe. He's still a little questionable coming in, who's their main wide receiver threat. Their offense is not good. So in my way of thinking, it's going to fall on the defense this week. So why press everything? Why press it forward that you have to get Jalen Hurts back here when Gardner Minshew did move the offense last week? It's not like they were totally stagnant. They moved the football, and they were able to make progress and to kind of matriculate the ball down the field. I don't see where the pressing, Jalen, take your time. We'll put you in bubble wrap until the until the 3rd week in January at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also at the point where, again, I keep leading back to this, whose decision is it? Because that's kind of more important to me than what the decision. I guess not how they make the decision, but right now the most important thing to me this week is who's making the decision, because I want to know who.
Well, who do you think is making the decision?
I would imagine it's got to be people that are even above the coach's level.
I would think so too.
I would want the advice of the medical team being the best case of, hey, this is all the information we can provide you. This is what we would recommend, and this is how you should proceed with it, because I would hope that their thoughts are simply with the health of Jalen Hurts and nothing about what's happening on the field. And I would prefer if they keep him healthy, keep him away from the field if they don't believe that he is at even 95% at this point. Because you're really risking it against a team I don't feel you need to risk it against. And I get where people will say, oh, well, hey, you don't want to go into that last Giants game still having to win it and have to force him into action there. But really, again, I might be really overlooking a Saints team here, but I really don't think I am. And
Nick Sirianni mentioned this morning, and if you want to comment on this, it's 610-632-0975, 610-632-0975. Be glad to have you on board here to talk some Eagles to open the show. The one thing that Sirianni said in the press conference yesterday in the the Zoom call with the reporters, and he said it again this morning out in the ether, if you will, was the idea that Jalen wanted to play last week. And Jalen did everything he could to play, and he's a competitor, and he compared the end of the Bears game to the Michael Jordan flu game, which I want to go, whoa. You are playing the Bears. This isn't
Chicago. There you go.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay. This isn't the Jazz. It's not Malone and Stockton. It's the Bears of 2022. But he made it sound like that basically this was a decision that was not going to be in Jalen Hurts' hands. Because if you left it in Jalen Hurts' hands, you probably are going to have a bad ending. So that tells me this has been made up at all levels above player. This has been made at coaching staff, and this has been made at least with consultation, I would think, with Howie Roseman and Jeff Lurie. And if that's the case, then what happened this week should reinforce it. If you're believing that you need to put Jalen Hurts away until the divisional round, and that you should be good enough, and you should, to win one of the final three games, then there's no way that Jalen Hurts should be on the field this week, except in a heavy coat on the sidelines.
The one interesting thing to me is kind of a scheduling gift given by the NFL for the Eagles.
I want to get into that. Go ahead.
Because Thursday night, the Cowboys travel to Tennessee, and the Titans look like a shell of themselves. They have not looked like a very good football team.
No, they have
really
no quarterback. They literally have no quarterback right now with Tannehill out.
And if they somehow, another AFC South team, hands the Eagles another gift, then this whole conversation is totally meaningless. Really, when it comes down to,
you would still have to win one game to clinch home field over Minnesota.
Correct, but you would feel a lot more comfortable of, hey, we've at least got division in hand, and now we're sitting here. Do we think Minnesota is going to win out? Do we think Minnesota is going to be able to finish out with two straight?
Right, and Minnesota has Green Bay this week, so that's
suddenly a tough game.
Suddenly a tough game in Green Bay. That is where, by the way, Green Bay's season opening week, Minnesota totally annihilated Green Bay.
Yes.
And it kind of sent the Packers into this malaise that lasted until 3 weeks ago. Could they, but you would feel more comfortable. You don't want them losing 3 straight going into the playoffs and then having to sit around a week and all that. Yes, you'll have the home field, but backing into the number 1 seed.
Oh, no, of course not.
A good update or a good possibility, a good situation for them. So I should remind everybody that the 10 o'clock hour is brought to you by Window Nation. Take advantage of Window Nation's 50% off sale on all style windows. Make no down payments with no payments or no interest for 12 full months. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com. And thanks to Window Nation for sponsoring our 10 o'clock hour. So that's the question. The question is right now, should Jalen Hurts even see the field these next 2 games because of the Lane Johnson injury? Does that change the dynamic? And I think it should. I would have felt a little better if I knew Johnson was going to be out there about letting Hurts go. And the other part of the Johnson injury that we talked about in the back is, how do you now configure the offensive line? Yeah, there was some talk yesterday, maybe Jordan Mailata moving to the right side and Dak Driscoll or Andre Dillard, who can't play the right side. Andre Dillard, we found out, cannot play the right side of the line. When he filled in that role I want to say 2 years ago. It was Doug Peterson's last year. It was a disaster. So they want to keep him on the left side if possible. But if that's the case, yeah, do you move 5 people to fill one position at this point, which it feels like it would be?
And that feels like it would be kind of a building piece, because I would think that if you're moving Mailata to the right side, you're going for your best possible in terms of talent-wise on the line, but you're also telling me, hey, wait a second.
Mm-hmm.
This is trying to get Mailata used to something new that might be that we're expecting to see in the postseason. Because if you're
yeah, I agree with that.
Moving him to the other side of the line, you're looking at, hey, wait a second. Lane Johnson, if he was coming back and we were just doing this for the Saints and hopefully what becomes a meaningless Giants game, then it's, oh, okay, so they just wanted to fill in for Lane Johnson. No big deal. Jack Driscoll fills in for him. They're expecting him back. If you're moving Mailata over the right side and putting Dillard out there, you're trying to maximize the talent there and maximize the time that Mailata gets there so he becomes comfortable, because you don't believe in your heart that you are going to end up seeing Lane Johnson again.
Yeah, I think that's the indication. You know, there's a lot of times when the action... We used to have a saying when I was a writer, actions speak louder than words, obviously. I mean, everybody says that, but you look at the underlying and movements that teams make when somebody gets hurt, and it tells you how long they're expecting that guy to be hurt. If you move Mailata over to the other side, that tells me, if you're making that move just to jumble things up, that tells me that's a playoff thing. That tells me you're getting ready for the playoffs with Jordan Mailata as your right tackle. And if that's the case, then it is a big, big change, and their hopes will take a significant hit. They can't win. I don't think they could beat the Dallas Cowboys without Lane Johnson. I don't know if you can. I don't know if you could control Micah Parsons with anybody but Lane Johnson. If you have if you have Jack Driscoll, yeah, Mailata going to that side might be fine. They'll just go send Parsons over to the other side and pick on Jack Driscoll, and that could be a really, really ugly moment.
Yeah, I think you're going to get similar to what they did in that last drive, one of the last plays of the game, where they had just 3 guys lined up on one end and let go one-on-one with Driscoll and see what happens. Because if you leave him isolated by himself, he's not stopping Micah Parsons. And that's just the nature of it. If I were them, I'd do something similar every time. Try and overload one side with a couple of guys and see if you can't get to Hurts, or in that game, Minshew, like that, and then let Parsons try and go one-on-one with a tackle that hasn't proven he can slow him down. Lane Johnson, they're not doing that with him, because they want to try and stunt Parsons. They want to try and get him somewhere moving away from Johnson, or at least confusing the protection somewhere up front. When it's Driscoll, it's, all right, here I come. Try and stop me.
Once again, 610-632-0975 if you want to jump in on this topic. We'll talk a little Sixers later on. We have a fun little side topic that we're going to get into at the 11 o'clock hour, correct? I'm trying to remember.
10:30, I believe.
10:30. No, we'll get that in when we come back. By the way, we're also on YouTube if you follow us on the 97.5 The Fanatic YouTube channel. No, I am not related to Bob Cooney. And somebody said we look alike, except for like 150 pounds of difference.
You guys look like you'd be cousins.
Identical cousins, yeah. As Bob and I identify ourselves. It's strange. I've used this story before. I'll use it now. I went for a job interview at one of the local places. Guy called me and asked me to come interview for him. I didn't expect it. It was one of them unsolicited jobs. You know what? And it was to cover the Sixers. And so I went. I met this guy. He was late. I met him at a coffee house on Broad Street.
Mm-hmm. Particularly good one?
It's expensive.
Oh, okay.
It's filled with stars, and you need a lot of bucks. Thank you. So then I wear the shirt, tie. It's like 95 degrees out. Wearing the shirt, tie, the sport coat, everything, trying to look good. And guy walks out of the car and goes, "Hi, Bob," because he thought I was Bob. Yeah.
Oh.
This is when Bob was still at the Daily News.
So how long did that interview last?
25 minutes.
Wow. Oh, okay. So things were covered from there. Or did you go? Did you go?
I just kind of, wandered to, basically make it where I didn't feel like I was completely, like the whole time. He thought I was the other guy.
I mean, hey, Bob Cooney's not a bad guy to be mistaken for.
No, handsome, smart.
Nah.
What? But he is.
He's not here. It's all right. You can rip on Bob a little.
But we are not related. We're not related. So, all right. So when we, as we're trying to bring this back on the track, but no, I think when you look at the Eagles right now, they're still in a really good spot. I think they're still in a position where you don't have to panic. You really don't have to panic.
No, I'm not in a place where I panic either with this. I think that right now you're sitting here looking at the Hurts Minshew back and forth of who will play, and it's not a good problem to have, but it's one of those things where we kind of feel comfortable in the matchup and with the backup where I'm not tremendously worried. And with the injuries, you're given the gift of time because of the way you took care of business early in the season. Like I'm not happy with what happened to Lane Johnson. I'm not happy with what happened to Avonte Maddox. But
Avonte Maddox is
that one concerns me a lot because they don't give you anything in terms of
as far as the physical actual injury itself. It is by far the more severe injury because if he can't push off, it has to be the big toe. Okay, and if it's the big toe and he can't push off, then Avonte Maddox is no good. And if it needs surgery, it's going to need 6 to 8 weeks, which would probably end his season.
And that, I mean, when they give you the indefinitely timetable, that likely leads you to believe
it's not short term.
No, you're looking at, hey, maybe we'll see if we play into February. Like that would be probably best case because when they're not even telling you, because Lane Johnson, and this is how you read between the lines of injury updates. Lane Johnson, they say, okay, done for the regular season, hope for the postseason.
They leak out what they want to leak out.
Right. When they tell you out indefinitely, what, an hour and a half after they give you a different timetable with a different player, leads you to believe that timeline is not a favorable one and not one that they're comfortable even starting to discuss.
And look, they're very good at the NovaCare complex of getting the message out that they want to get out. And the message they wanted to get was calming on Lane Johnson. They realize they can't be calming on Avonte Maddox.
The second line of the Rappaport tweet.
Oh, sure.
Was, so C.J. Gardner-Johnson, let's quick spin this to, well, C.J. Gardner-Johnson might be back, and that'll be how you replace that because they don't seem to have any belief that we're going to see Avonte Maddox anytime soon.
But I wouldn't rush C.J. Gardner-Johnson back at all either. I mean, one, it's a lacerated kidney, which is a bigger medical long-term issue. With all due respect to Lane Johnson, look, if it's a sports hernia, which it sounds like it is, that's certainly not comfortable. If you've ever had a sports hernia, it can be painful, but you'll be okay. Avonte Maddox, if you have a big toe, you put a walking boot on it and you're able to live a normal life. If you have a lacerated kidney and something goes wrong there, you're talking long-term ramifications here. So, they're at a point right now where I think this is what this 13-1 record bought them. It bought them time. It bought them time to get a little healthy. Now, you want to win the Saints game to get it over with so you can rest Kelsey and Mailata and all those guys next week and not have to worry about where they go from here.
Oh, yeah. At this point, with the rash of injuries, I guess, the kind of onslaught that we've seen over the last couple weeks, Sirianni is going to be just everyone. If that Giants game means nothing.
If you're on the practice squad, you're playing at week 18.
Any way to get you on the field if you are not a regular, he's going with it.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a resume tape for a lot of guys. I mean, basically is what you're going to see. It's going to be the 4th or 5th preseason game because the game might not mean anything to the Giants either. If the Giants win this week, if they beat the Colts, then the Giants are pretty much in. I think they are in officially. So at this point, if you're the Eagles, you are just trying right now to get through and to get through this one game and then get everybody healthy and make sure that you're set because the road, everybody talks about the difference. Somebody brought this up on the show yesterday with D. The difference between 17 and 22, in my mind, is the road for the Eagles is much harder this time. no matter who they get. I heard Connor and Tom talk about this on the ride in, that the NFC is weaker than the AFC, and that might be true. Guess what? It's a lot tougher NFC in 2022 than it was facing Matt Ryan and Julio Jones and the Falcons in week 1 of that playoff run, and then, Case Keenum in week 2.
The magic ended real quick for Case Keenum.
Yeah, it did. 610-632-0975. We'll talk about that. We'll get to the Sixers a little bit later on. Jim Jackson will join us at noon to talk Flyers as they return today with their first practice after the holiday break before they jet off to San Jose, I think is the first stop on this road trip. And then they go to L.A. and Anaheim to wrap it up. And Connor Orr then at 1 o'clock to talk about Shane Steichen and some other NFL news. Connor still had the Eagles number 2 on his power ratings today, bumped Buffalo up of them. Ray has the update. This is 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A holiday hurting. I'm Ray Dunne as the Eagles update us on a slew of injuries on Monday following their 40-33 loss to the Cowboys on Christmas Eve. Lane Johnson will miss the rest of the regular season with a torn tendon in his abdomen. Ooh, words, they're tough. Avonte Maddox is out indefinitely with a serious toe injury. Starting quarterback Jalen Hurts' status is still up in the air as he tries to manage a shoulder sprain as the Eagles face the Saints at 1 o'clock on New Year's Day. The Sixers are going for their 9th straight win tonight against the Wizards following a big Christmas Day win over the Knicks. This is their second of a 4-game road trip. You can catch that game tonight on 97.5 The Fanatic. Keep it locked right here for the latest news and information. I'm Ray Dunne for 97.5 The Fanatic.
It's the Cuz, Anthony Gargano. Weekdays 10 to 2 on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, it's Jen Scordo. Now is the perfect time to download FanDuel in partnership with Valley Forge, America's #1 sportsbook. New customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's free bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just sign up using my promo code SCORDO. You know that I love player props. I also love money lines and spreads. You can combine all your bets for a chance at a bigger payday with that same game parlay. They also have live betting. You can get updated odds on games that have already started. And most importantly, when you win, you get paid fast. It's all on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Sign up using my promo code SCORDO for your no-sweat first bet. That's promo code SCORDO. And make every moment more this season with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
21 plus and present in PA. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Ad paid for by Anthem Tax Services. $80 billion approved for the IRS to beef up their efforts to pursue those that owe. Are you tired of the IRS letters, levies, liens, or wage garnishments? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes to the IRS, you need Anthem Tax Services. 30-plus years of experienced, top-rated tax professionals with over $500 million in represented tax liabilities and licensed in all 50 states. We are A-plus rated on the BBB and #1 choice on Money.com. Due to the financial hardships in the country, the IRS is making it easier than ever to settle your tax. Anthem Tax Services will find the program that is right for you, like the Fresh Start initiative that can drastically reduce your tax debt. We can help settle delinquent tax problems, end all collections, and may even reduce back taxes by up to 99%. Call Anthem Tax Services at 800-217-5312 for a free no-obligation tax analysis, personal or business. Stop your tax problems from getting worse. Call Anthem Tax today, 800-217-5312, 800-217-5312, or anthemtaxservices.com.
If you run a small business, you need the most from every investment. That's why Comcast Business gives you more. Like more innovation with our new gig speed Wi-Fi, plus unlimited data. More speed from the largest, fastest, reliable network for small businesses. And more savings, up to 60% a year with Comcast Business Mobile. All from the company that powers more businesses than any other provider. When you need more, you need Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Get started with fast, reliable internet for just $49 a month for 12 months with no annual contract. Or ask how to get up to an $800 prepaid card with a qualifying bundle. Call or go online today. Limited time offer. Restrictions apply. EcoBill and autopay required. New 50 megabits per second internet customers only. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. Mobile savings compares pricing of top 3 carriers. Comcast Business Internet required.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Thinking about gas mileage? If your check engine light is on, it may be affecting your MPGs. But the free AutoZone Fix Finder service can help. With the most complete free warning light report backed by technician-verified fixes, you'll know what's affecting your gas mileage and more. And you don't have to drive too far to find the fix. The free AutoZone Fix Finder service is available at all 6,200 stores.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
See details at AutoZone.com.
For everything your business needs to make this year your year, Staples has you covered.
I need to organize all my papers and files from last year and the year before that.
Staples has you covered.
I need a new desk calendar so that I don't miss a meeting with my boss or a soccer game with my daughter.
Staples has you covered with everything you need to get organized this year. Right now, a 2023 lined desk calendar is $3.99 and an unlined calendar is just $4.99. Make this year your year at Staples. Offer ends 12/31. In-store only.
Finding new patients for your dental practice can be like pulling teeth.
If you are a dental professional in the Philadelphia area, we dare you to Google, who's the best dentist near me? If your practice does not show up on the first page of the search results, then you may be committing marketing malpractice.
For as little as $499 per month, BuildMeABetterSite.com will create and manage a website to ensure your practice shows up for new patients who are ready to rinse and spit. Visit BuildMeABetterSite.com for your free demo.
BuildMeABetterSite.com is a small business resource of 97.5 The Fanatic.
Every drive starts somewhere. For First Trust Bank, our drive started in Philadelphia and continues to this day. As Philly's hometown bank for more than 85 years, we know this city's people. We understand their passions, and we work our tails off to help them reach their goals every day. Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank. First Trust Bank, the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. Member FDIC.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to start getting conversational in another language? In as little as 3 weeks, Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
I hate the struggle of tough, greasy messes on my stovetop. So I just freak, wipe, and I'm done.
When I'm frustrated with stubborn bathtub soap scum, I just freak, wipe, and I'm done.
Mr. Clean Clean Freak delivers an innovative cleaning experience with a powerful deep cleaning mist that starts working on contact to break down tough messes in seconds.
Just freak,
wipe,
done.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Starting trouble. No one likes that. We'll get you set up for some stronger starts. You might just need a fresh charge, and we'll take care of that free of charge. But if it is time for a new battery, we've got replacement batteries that'll fit your needs, starting at just $79.99. You can learn more about our battery selection at AutoZone.com. That's what makes us America's #1 battery destination.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Claim based on data from the NPD Group 2021.
More of the Anthony Gargano Show now
On 97.5 The Fanatic.
Our 10 a.m. hour is brought to you by Window Nation. Take advantage of Window Nation's 50% off sale on all style windows. Plus, make no down payments with no payments and no interest for 12 full months. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com. Kevin Cooney and Ray Dunne here with you, sitting in for Anthony Gargano and Andrew Salchunas on the 97.5 Midday Show. So we're talking Eagles here in the first segment as we get into a little bit changing from that preparation for the game against the Saints, or from the Cowboys game, and kind of getting over the post-mortem and now trying to transition into the Saints game this week. The one thing about the Cowboy game was, if you want to take any reassurance, it was the fact that even with their backup quarterback against arguably the third best team in the NFC, I think the Eagles and Niners are probably 1 and 1A. You would say that the Eagles really represent themselves really well.
Yeah, backup quarterback, short week, third straight road game against second and third best team in the NFC, and you still took them to the wire with Minshew and all that's going on. I mean, that's an incredibly, incredibly impressive effort. I know We're not a big town in the whole moral victory setup.
Moral victory is not this city's specialty.
No, but I am not sitting here today. I wasn't sitting here yesterday. For everyone that was listening yesterday, I didn't sit here yesterday and have any panic about me after the loss. I was more encouraged, and I think you said it yesterday on Afternoons. There's no real reason for Cowboys fans to be puffing out their chests at this point after what they watched on Saturday.
I mean, look, the same issues with the Cowboys are there. Their defense allowed 27 points to Gardner Minshew. I mean, 7 of it obviously was on the pick 6 by Josh Sweat. You have questions about your quarterback's decision making. You look at what happened with Dak running out of bounds. That gave the Eagles the extra time needed to make that drive down to the 20. There's a lot of things that if I was Dallas, I would be concerned about, especially the way their defense has played the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, no, I think at this point, and I mentioned it on Friday, I think when I was with you and D on middays of like having that lull within your season and where you're not playing your best. I think the Cowboys clicking offensively against a defense that just didn't adjust, and I know we can get into that at some point, and I know you guys took a lot of phone calls, third and 30 yesterday.
30.
Yeah, it'll forever be the 3rd and 30 game to me.
You see, I don't think it'll be that memorable game. I'm not in that like, oh my God, this is one we're going to remember for. No, it was
I'm going to remember them allowing a 3rd and 30.
You will?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't happen that often. I'm not.
If they go on and win the NFC, forget the Super Bowl.
Listen, it's not going to be the first thing that comes to my mind about this season, but I will remember them allowing a 3rd and 30.
I think it'll fade unless this is the beginning of a slide. Now, by the way, I say this as if you lose this week, if you lose to the Saints, you're right to panic if you're an Eagle fan. You are absolutely right to panic if you're an Eagle fan if you lose this week.
Yeah, I would say you're probably right. I have to see how it happens.
You should beat the New Orleans.
Oh, you should absolutely beat them. I will not show up here all dandy and happy on Monday if they lose to the Saints. I'm not telling you that.
If you're giving up 40 points to the Saints or something,
yeah, if they give up 40 points to the Saints, I'll be panicking. I will show up here. I will go buy one of those easy buttons from Staples.
Yeah.
And I will rip off the easy lettering. I don't know. But I will put panic on that, and I will be hitting the panic button every few. I'll reprogram the voice. I'll start selling panic buttons if they lose to the Saints. And they give up 40 points.
I get that. 632-0975. First call of the day. Rick from Easton. Hey, Rick, how are you?
Hey, guys, how are you?
I'm great.
I couldn't agree with you more. Guys, let's not forget a few things. 2 weeks ago, the Eagles were going to pick 5th in the draft because of the Saints. This is the Saints. This is a team, the Eagles, that won 11 straight road games with this coach.
Right.
They don't give up games at home. Yeah, the Washington Redskins was a brain fart. But let's first do one thing at a time. Can we stop with the Cowboys and America's team, please?
Well, that's 65. Something that the NFL will probably...
Well, whatever. They were, as far as Philadelphia, for me, this is for me, guys. Tom Landry, Randy White, Roger Staubach, Bob Lilly, Bob Hayes, Drew Pearson. That was America's team back then because they were on TV every week.
They're on TV every week now, Rick.
No, yeah, but you know what? Aikman, Irving, and Emmett, for me, was not even Cowboys' team anymore. Let's remember one thing. This roster, I know we'll agree with this, is the most talented roster this franchise has ever, underlined, ever had. I don't want to hear about 2017. I don't want to hear about 1980, 2004, T.O. I don't want to hear it. Not even close. Why? Because 20% of this roster, 20% of the Pro Bowlers, half the Pro Bowlers are from the SEC. These kids know how to win.
And that was one thing I'll give Howie credit on. Howie did not go heavy SEC until the last couple of years. And
it's about time.
Right.
Actually, I was sharpening my teeth to get the two crazy, either the defensive end from Alabama and or the defensive tackle, from Georgia, which we may not get now because the Saints got hot the last 2 weeks. But guys, fans, this is the Saints. They're coming to Philadelphia. They'll take care of business. I had this Eagles team losing with Hurts in Dallas 5 weeks ago. It's an ebb and flow thing. They're not going to lose to the Saints. This team is too talented. They've never had talent like this. they're going to be fine.
Rick, I appreciate the phone call. He's right. I don't think it's a panic move. I don't think it's time to panic. If you lose to the Saints, then you panic. I don't know if they're the most talented Eagles team ever. That only reveals itself over the next year or two. I'm sorry. It depends on what you do in the playoffs and all that. Look, and just because you're the most talented doesn't mean anything when you get to the playoffs. It doesn't. It depends on how. It depends on luck, if anything.
I would prefer them be the most accomplished to the most talented.
Yeah, but I mean, look at. There's been a lot of 14-2.
No, that's what I'm saying. Is that if we're going to go with
the division round.
Yeah, if we want to go with what we want out of this team, most talented. Hand up. I wasn't there in 1980. I don't know. I got to compare the two of them as also different brands of football. Like, you got to start comparing across generations, and you have to start comparing the way the game was played.
If you want to look at the number of Hall of Fame type players, the Buddy era was probably as good between Eric Allen and Reggie and Clyde and Randall, and Keith Jackson was a great tight end, and you can make an argument Mike Quick should have gotten some Hall of Fame consideration.
Right.
They never won a playoff game with Buddy. They won one with Rich Kotite after it. But this idea that, they're the most talented team, that doesn't guarantee anything in this sport anymore. It doesn't.
No, absolutely. Because
the Packers would have gone about 5 times to the Super Bowl at this point with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, and we could talk. That's Mike McCarthy and a lot of fun that they had in Green Bay that didn't work out, that they underachieved. But to your point, the most talented thing, it's a cool thing to think about. It's a real nice thing to appreciate what you have right in front of you while you have it, because this is arguably, it's right up there with any of the other teams you've seen throughout Eagles history when it comes to just pure talent, and they're backing it up with what they're accomplishing right now in the regular season. But I don't think anyone's taking solace in that if this team doesn't go make a deep playoff run. I'm all about appreciating the greatness you have in front of you, but I don't think anyone's going to take solace in that if this doesn't turn out the way that most of us have built it up to ourselves at this point.
Quan is right. Quan on our YouTube chat says the pass defense in particular was bad, plus the Dallas defense has also been trending downward the last 4 years. The only true elite defense in the NFL, and that's the 49ers. That's true. I don't put the Eagles as an elite defense. They get a lot of pressure. They get a lot of things. I'm worried about their corners right now. Darius Slay, is it me, Ray? Darius Slay has just been, for the last month, a non-factor for this team.
I had a couple of calls about this yesterday, and to me, I'm seeing this more as a secondary trying to figure themselves out with just a number of injuries, what his responsibility was with C.J. Gardner-Johnson on the field, because we saw, obviously, just how well C.J. Gardner-Johnson played in this defense, and we've seen Reed Blankenship play well. We've seen Kayvon Wallace had a good game in there. But I'm curious if his ability to communicate with these guys or his ability to try and play his style along these other safeties, along the changes in the secondary, because you saw the problems that him and Josiah Scott had. I'm curious if it's just not translating to the non-CJ Gardner-Johnson safeties of this secondary, where he's still trying to figure out how to best play his game with the players he has around him versus what he had earlier in this season.
We have a poll of the day question. This is brought to you by Marvin E. Cans Heating and Air Conditioning. Marvin E. Cans Heating and Air Conditioning is open and able to assist you with any emergency services and replacement needed, including installation of air scrubbers and other quality products. Visit marvinecans.com. Poll question today: does the Lane Johnson injury influence the way you feel about bringing Jalen Hurts back? Yes or no? I mean, because of the fact that Lane Johnson's going to be out, does that change your timetable in your mind if Jalen Hurts is ready to go for Sunday afternoon? So make sure that you vote on that one as well. My partner had a great idea question today off the holidays, and I'll let him introduce it as far as something you may have given to a family member or yourself, and we'll throw this around and have a little fun with it. Go ahead, Ray.
Yeah, so holiday time, jerseys, always a fun, nice gift for whatever holiday you may celebrate. And there's always the question, because I've had a number of poor selections when it comes to jerseys, asking
what's your worst one?
Well, it's kind of a toss-up. We can have a secondary poll amongst the folks calling in. Yeah, here. I have a Michael Carter-Williams and a Jordan Matthews.
Why did you get a Jordan Matthews jersey?
I was looking for something. Chip thought that
Was
he
it
could
the
just,
discount rack?
maybe.
Parents?
No, it wasn't parents. No, this was me. This is poor.
On the clearance rack.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
clearance. I'm sorry.
I don't think it was
Buy one,
clearance.
get one?
No, I don't think it was clearance. It's very unfortunate. Listen, he was what? How many yards did he have his rookie year? I was dumb. There's poor talent evaluation from the part of me, and you have to remember I'll hide behind my age on that one. That was just poor analysis on my part.
Okay.
He was the leading receiver for the team.
Admission is the first step towards rehabilitation. Yes.
And I usually will go with like the slimmer wide receivers because I'm, that's kind of like the physique of where I would play in the backyard. Where
that would not be me. Yes.
That would be the wide receiver that's more what I would identify with. So, yeah, you could go Jordan Matthews or Michael Carter-Williams. Both brutal. Both I could bring in and wear at some point, so we can get those.
I can tell you my worst one was Wentz. I got Wentz.
Oh, I have a Wentz too, but
I got the Wentz one the week before he injured himself against the Rams.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. Fun was over real fast.
that one got tucked away in the back of the closet.
Hey, there's plenty of kids out there named Carson right now. So
yeah, that's true.
So really, you only had clothing for it. So,
that's true.
No offense to Carson's out there. Anyways, so if you're getting a jersey this holiday season, I'm curious, how do you maximize the number of active years the jersey will have? In other words, if you were to get a jersey right now, who would you get to ensure that you have an active jersey for the longest amount of time? And we thought we would put this to a little bit of a draft.
Right.
So, if you want to call in at 610-632-0975, you can hop in the conversation, give us whatever point you have, and you also can give us your pick for whatever jersey you think would maximize, be the longest amount of time you'd be able to have that jersey, and we'll each have a draft. We're going to start with the caller. So we'll open up the draft with the caller. Callers have the first overall pick, and we'll build out 3 teams. Kevin will get the second pick. I'll take the third pick.
Yeah.
And then we'll start rolling from there, and we're going to try and get the best team of jerseys to ensure the longest amount of time.
Now, remember, the ground rules are it's guys who will be here and the jersey will still be good the longest. So, like, for example, Jason Kelsey is still active, but there's a thought that Jason's going to retire either this year or next year. That's not exactly a great pick for what you're talking about.
Correct. Many guys, especially on this Eagles team right now, be classic jerseys at some point. But will they be an active jersey over the next couple of years? So we'll open that up for you again, 610-632-0975. You can join the conversation on that. We'll let you get the drafting started. First caller that wants to be a part of that can make their pick, and then we'll start moving from there. I see a poor jersey in the YouTube chat.
Which one?
Colin Jenkins.
Colin Jenkins is not a good jersey. No, I'm seeing that as well. And Brandon, your jersey's probably safe. I'm not going to say it out loud because we want somebody to call in with that. But yeah, look, and I've actually gotten to the age where I've gone more the classic jersey anyway. I have a Reggie.
Yeah.
I have a Randall. I have an Utley one from years ago, obviously from when they went to the World Series in 2008. Those type of jerseys are classic. And it's funny. Like, the biggest team that I think gets involved in the jersey thing, tell me if I'm wrong, Flyer fans are huge on jerseys, especially at the holidays.
Yes.
The problem with the Flyers is, who do you buy at this point?
Art, he says, with a question mark.
Exactly. It's just one of those questions. I don't know how you would actually answer that at this point. If you were a Flyer fan, what jersey would you buy at this one? So we'll take your phone calls and get interested in that one, and get some interest in it and get your opinions on it here. And, the one other thing, Jonathan Gannon has been the topic of the day in a lot of circles because of the 3rd and 30. And this guy is just a lightning rod in this town.
Yeah.
That nothing, this defense is top 10 and it gets a lot of pressure. And yet, why is it that people still feel the need? Jim Schwartz had a little bit of this too. People do not feel warm and fuzzy about the Eagle defense the way it's kind of set up there under Jonathan Gannon.
It's just that it doesn't fit with what this city's been grown up with and what it's grown up with in terms of a pressuring defense and what they typically think in
With
terms
the
of
Jim Johnson.
aggressiveness. And I think it's just simply that. It doesn't feel like the defenses that you were told were good. And then from that, you have to kind of change your mindset. And some people don't enjoy changing their mindset on what they think is good defense. And it's an excruciating defense to watch, especially when it's not clicking. Like, it's very painful to watch a quarterback complete one over the middle for 3 or 4 yards every time and let the defense come up and try and make the tackle. Let the other team run for 3 or 4 yards and slowly move down the field on you. It's excruciating to watch at times.
Bend but don't break.
Yeah. You want to pull your hair out sometimes watching it. But you have to understand.
But the strange part is they're like on the precipice of setting a franchise record for sacks. I mean, they are aggressive. They get the quarterback. So I think that image that they're just laying back and playing soft is a little off, a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's just a question of when they allow those long, painful, arduous drives, those ones stick out in your head more than the time where they were able to come up and make the tackle on the 3rd and 5 and leave them short and they punt it away.
Yep.
You just have that. It's the bias in your head. It's not the recency bias, but it's the thing that sticks out the most in your head.
Yep. 610-632-0975. Joe on the cell's joining us. Joe has a jersey. Hey, Joe, you're the first pick.
Hey guys, how you doing? My wife and I are driving up to New York right now on our way to celebrate our anniversary. Figured I'd give you guys a call. We were listening to you guys on the way.
All right,
up.
so what are you doing in New York? What are you going to go do in New York when you're up there?
Yeah, I got my wife tickets to go see Hadestown on Broadway. So,
That's nice.
Yeah.
Happy anniversary.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you. So this year for Christmas, I told my wife, I wanted to get a Flyers jersey that, I could have for a long time because, my Briere jersey is, no longer any good, and my Giroux jersey is no longer any good. So I wanted something that would last me a long time. My wife had the most clever idea. She went out, saw a Gritty jersey, and picked up a Gritty jersey.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hacking the game right here.
Yeah, so you're of all the jerseys in Philadelphia sports, you could have any of them. You're taking Gritty because you think Gritty will be around the longest.
Gritty's going to be around the longest. Him and the Fanatic, man, they're legends.
Yeah, the Fanatic is tough because you can't get the star. Like, it's not easy to find the star that goes on the back of the jersey there.
Yeah, and I think they only make those jerseys for kids, but they apparently make adult sizes in the Gritty jersey, and I mean, he's not going anywhere.
That's true.
He's signed for a long time.
Joe, I appreciate the call. Thanks a lot. So you're taking Gritty with the first pick. All right, Ray, I'll give you the second pick. Go ahead.
Do we want to count Gritty for the first pick? Because it does feel like a bit of a game hack. Because we're not exactly going to watch Gritty get traded. I mean, that would make for a heck of a story. If they traded Gritty for some draft picks.
There
really
are a lot of
the
people.
rebuild.
There are a lot of people who are fans of that organization that would like to see Gritty get traded.
Yeah, I've seen them.
Come on. Dan is waving his hand back there. You're not a Gritty fan, huh?
I can't get into them. Sorry.
Can't get it. Is it because of the organization that you think Mr. Snyder would have not done it?
Part of it, but I don't know. The first time I saw Gritty, it felt like they were trying to push another version of the Fanatic too hard.
I will admit, they do push it too hard. When you're in the building, they push it too hard. Everything's gritty. Everything's gritty. They could also turn the sound down a little bit, but that's me being an old man. So,
I mean, right now the thing to push is Gritty.
Yeah, but
like, hey, don't look at that thing on that's happening.
Gritty and the coach are the two things you're going to push if you're that franchise.
Torts as well.
All right, let's give Gritty.
We'll give Gritty
that one because somebody else will mention Gritty, I'm sure. So we'll give them Gritty. I don't know how you judge Gritty's performance, but go ahead.
All right. Well, I'm going to go with the one that feels the safest, the one that's been locked up for quite a long time and has already produced an MVP season for this team, and I'm going to go Bryce Harper.
All right, so you're going Bryce Harper. I'm going to go same team. I'm going the powder blue Trey Turner one because Trey Turner is going to be a rock star in this town. He is going to be absolutely – he'll eclipse Bryce Harper's popularity by the end of this contract.
Wow, you really think so?
Yeah, I do. Because I think Trey Turner has an MVP in him.
Oh, man. I hope you're right.
And you know who he reminds me? He reminds me a lot of Utley in the way he approaches the game. He's smooth. He's, He's going to play every day. He's going to be one of those kind of guys that I just see is going to really, the town's going to fall in love with him.
I feel like the town's already enamored.
When you raise your hand and say, I want to play here, I want to play here, you're instantly in that group. So, all right, so Gritty, you're taking Bryce Harper.
Correct.
I'm taking Trey Turner, which means no Sixer yet and no Eagle yet.
No. But you can be the first to draft one of those.
610-632-0975. That's a smooth segue right there.
I'm trying here. I'm learning a thing or two.
I'm trying to learn too. It's like trying to take the training wheels off the bike.
Right, exactly.
610-632-0975. The answer, Gritty jersey comes with a bag to put over your head. That is an indictment on the organization, by the way. It really is.
Yeah.
Hi, honey, I want a Flyers jersey. Get me the mascot.
It's the only one that's guaranteed to be here beyond, what, 2-3 years?
2-3 years.
Yeah.
So 610-632-0975. We'll change topics into the 11 o'clock hour. We'll talk a little Sixers. We'll take your Eagles calls as well, take your jersey ideas. But now, Ray with the update here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A holiday hurting. I'm Ray Dunne, and this update is brought to you by Chickies and Pete's in Malvern. Grab lunch at Chickies and Pete's in Malvern this Friday with the Cuz and Tunis as they get you ready for the Birds game. That's Chickies and Pete's in Malvern this and every Friday for lunch with the Cuz and Tunis. The Eagles update us on a slew of injuries on Monday following their 40-34 loss to the Cowboys on Christmas Eve. Lane Johnson will miss the rest of the regular season with a torn tendon in his abdomen. There is optimism that he will be able to come back for the postseason. Avonte Maddox, however, is out indefinitely with a serious toe injury, and starting quarterback Jalen Hurts' status is still up in the air as he tries to manage his shoulder sprain. The Eagles face the Saints at 1 o'clock on New Year's Day. The Sixers are going for their 9th straight victory tonight against the Wizards following a big Christmas Day win over the Knicks. This is their second of a 4-game road trip. This update is also brought to you by Wawa. Free Coffee Tuesday for Wawa Rewards members are back. Every Tuesday, Wawa Rewards members get a free any size coffee. Gotta have a Wawa. Keep it locked right here for the latest news and information. I'm Ray Dunne for 97.5 The Fanatic.
It's the Anthony Gargano Show on 97.5 The Fanatic.
And paid for by Anthem Tax Services. $80 billion approved for the IRS to beef up their efforts to pursue those that owe. Are you tired of the IRS letters, levies, liens, or wage garnishments? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes to the IRS, you need Anthem Tax Services. 30-plus years of experienced, top-rated tax professionals with over $500 million in represented tax liabilities and licensed in all 50 states. We are A-plus rated on the BBB and #1 choice on Money.com. Due to the financial hardships in the country, the IRS is making it easier than ever to settle your tax. Anthem Tax Services will find the program that is right for you, like the Fresh Start initiative that can drastically reduce your tax debt. We can help settle delinquent tax problems, end all collections, and may even reduce back taxes by up to 99%. Call Anthem Tax Services at 800-217-5312 for a free no-obligation tax analysis, personal or business. Stop your tax problems from getting worse. Call Anthem Tax today, 800-217-5312, 800-217-5312, or anthemtaxservices.com.
Hey, Sixer fans, it's Matt Cord for the Bet Parks app, the official winning partner of your Philadelphia 76ers. The Bet Parks app is fun to use. Build around on what you want right from your phone. It's easy to sign up, great customer service, and faster to win than ever before. Download the Bet Parks app today. The Bet Parks app, the official winning partner of your Philadelphia 76ers.
See website for terms and conditions. Must be 21 and in Pennsylvania or New Jersey. Gambling problem? 1-800-GAMBLER.
Parks Casino. This is how you win. Looking for a perfect night out? Look no further than Parks Casino. Enjoy live music and entertainment at 360 inside Parks Casino. Friday, December 30th, the exceptions keep you dancing all night long. Parks Casino is your place for live entertainment, award-winning restaurants, and never-ending action. Go to parkscasino.com or follow on social for a full list of world-class entertainment. Coming soon to the Excite Center at Parks Casino. Parks Casino, this is how you win. This is how you win. 21 or older, gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
There is no doubt about it. Philadelphia sports fans bleed for their teams, and they bleed for each other, too. Every time they donate plasma at CSL Plasma Donation Centers. In fact, thousands of Philadelphia area residents have helped people they don't even know by donating plasma at a CSL Plasma Donation Center. Your plasma donations have helped create therapies for patients living with rare and serious diseases and have enabled us to provide medicines and vaccines to people in over 100 countries around the world. Interested in other ways you can partner with CSL to improve patients' quality of life? Ask about participating in one of our clinical trials or learn more at cslbearingtrials.com. We're proud to be part of this community, proud of our hometown teams, and the people who rally around them and each other. We look forward to meeting you and thanking you in person at events around the city. For all that you do, Philadelphia, we thank you, because together, we're saving lives.
During the holiday season, the New Jersey Transit Police Department reminds you that we must all work together to keep our transit system safe. Your attention is our most valuable asset. If you ride the train or bus, live or work near a station, be alert and aware of your surroundings. If something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. Report suspicious activity to 1-888-TIPS-NJT or text your report to NJTPD. New Jersey Transit urges you to help us keep our transit system safe. Report suspicious activity to 1-888-TIPS-NJT or text your report to NJTPD.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right. Y'all gotta try that Febreze car. Just right, just right, just right, just right. La 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 la. With up to 40 days of consistent scent on low Febreze car clips right on your vent. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face when it smells just right, just right, just right. Breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
Fanatic fan favorite.
Is a Nissan on your list? If not, it should be during the Nissan Thrill of the Drive event. Don't miss year-end savings going on right now at Peruzzi Nissan. And the Peruzzis want to wish happy holidays from Bob, Fred, and the whole Peruzzi family to your family. As they say, our business is you.
Fanatic fan favorites on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Stars and Stripes Harleys offering no payments till spring 2023 on all new Harleys this week only. Stars and Stripes Harley has the largest Harley inventory in Pennsylvania with hundreds of bikes. Stars and Stripes Harley has secured financing terms that can save you thousands on interest. Finance specialists on site to help get you approved today. No payments till spring 2023. APR such as 1.99% and no payments till spring 2023 on any new Harley at Stars and Stripes Harley now through Sunday. No payment for 120 days with approved credit.
If you like burritos, which you do because everyone does, you should try Taco Bell's Chipotle Ranch and Salsa Verde grilled chicken burritos. These masterpieces start with a warm flour tortilla that we stuff with grilled chicken. But the real stars here are the bold sauces, Chipotle Ranch or Salsa Verde. In fact, the chicken is the stage upon which these sauces shine. Like this mic is a stage for me to spotlight my theatrical range. 2 chicken burritos, 2 bold flavors, $2 each. Order on the Taco Bell app. At participating U.S. Taco Bell locations for a limited time only. Contact local store for prices, hours, and participation which vary. Tax extra while supplies last.
Deep in the bowels of your building's basement, the wastewater pump system handles everything that comes from the bowels of your building's workers. Who can you trust to make sure that wastewater flows from your building to the city's water treatment facility? Pumpman Philly, the experts in wastewater system troubleshooting, emergency repairs, maintenance, and replacement. When your pumps go down, don't crap your pants. Call Pumpman Philly at 833-559-PUMP. 833-559-PUMP. PumpmanPhilly.com.
97.5 The Fanatic is on a Philadelphia Flyers ticket tour presented by Coors Light. Win Flyers swag and tickets every 20 minutes, including premium seats in the Coors Light Flyers Chill Zone. Only a few more chances left. Don't miss out. Join the Fanatic at Maggie's Waterfront Cafe, 9242 North Delaware Avenue, Philadelphia, this Saturday, New Year's Eve from 2 to 3 p.m. You must be 21 to win. For details, visit the events page on 97.5thefanatic.com. Coors Light, fueled by Philadelphia.
WPEN Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station, home of the most entertaining sports talk in Philadelphia. 97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia.
97.5 The Fanatic. This is the midday show. I'm Kevin Cooney along with Ray Dunne. Dan Fritz is producing as we sit in for Anthony Gargano and Andrew Salchunas. Both will be back next week after the holiday. Hoping you are having a great holiday. A lot of people did. There are some people that went back to work today who didn't have the full week off, who have gone back. But these are like easy days, in no matter what line of work you do usually.
I hope so for everyone. It's tough. Gearing up the engine between Christmas and New Year's. Now, for me, this I was always planning to be rolling between Christmas and New Year's. This is top tier for me. I put in my best week of work while everyone else is having their
and that's part of the business in this time, because this is the time of year where people burn their remaining vacation and all that, usually in sports media especially. So
right. I'm just saying, for everyone out there, I hope you're enjoying a lazy, not lazy. I don't want to use lazy. A relaxing week. Relaxing week. A quiet week at work.
Week.
I'm here to bring the energy for you.
There is something to be said for quiet. There is something to be said for a quiet holiday. Not having to travel, not having to go anywhere, and just kind of kicking the radio back and listening. So the 11 o'clock hour here of the Midday Show is brought to you by Golden Nugget Jewelers, where Philly gets engaged. So we talked last hour a lot about the Eagles. We talked about whether you rush Jalen Hurts back to play in this game against the Saints if he's healthy, or do you sit him out because of Lane Johnson's injury status? I'm in the sit him out. If you put him in, if the plan was for him to sit these final 3 weeks, and I heard Anthony talk about it last week, I think that has been the plan all along. It's probably coming from up above, and Jeff and Howie kind of lean on things because, look, it's their investment. It's their guy that they have a Super Bowl riding on is Jalen Hurts. The one guy this team cannot afford to lose and get to a Super Bowl is Jalen Hurts. And if that was the plan, then stick to the plan. Nothing that happened last week should take you off that plan, except for the fact it should have been reinforced with Lane Johnson getting hurt.
Reinforced, and also you saw what you have in your backup and what he's capable of doing against one of the better teams in the entire league. And now you have a Saints team showing up to town that is very much not one of the top teams in the league.
But still alive for a playoff spot, which is unbelievable.
Ridiculous.
7 teams in the playoffs is way too many.
Where's the clowning? I heard all the NFC least all those years.
Oh, I think people are clowning on this 2 Souths. The 2 Souths are brutal.
People respect Brady too much.
Well, that's the thing. Like, Dallas will probably be the 5 seed and will probably get the winner of the South. And if it's the Bucs, I get it. They've been awful. Are you going to totally bet against Tom Brady in that spot? I'm not.
Ooh.
Remember,
ultimate evils colliding here. Brady, Dallas.
Why is Tom Brady evil? Why is Tom Brady evil?
I like parody. He ruined that for me.
Tom Brady's and look, I'm a Joe Montana fan from when I was a kid. I'm a Notre Dame guy, so Tom Brady's the greatest of all time. I enjoyed watching the greatest of all time perform.
Yeah. Oh, it's a joy to watch him play, but it's nice.
It was.
I like
it
the
was.
change.
I'm not sure it is now.
Oh,
watching that on Sunday night was not enjoyable by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, that after a couple of holiday drinks, that was putting people to sleep real quick.
He almost got beat by Trace McSorley. He got forced to overtime by Trace McSorley. That's not good.
No, not ideal. Trace McSorley, in his mind, if he took Tom Brady to overtime, did not play the game that was played that night. Like, in his mind, if you dream that as a kid, being the guy that takes Tom Brady to overtime in a primetime game, you do not dream of that game being a 19-16 game. You dream of back and forth, both teams putting up 35, 40 points. No one drew up that game the way it went on Sunday night.
And we're also having in this, for this show, it's a little bit of a uniform draft. The ground rules are simple, okay? You'll pick one. Ray will pick one. I'll pick one. The way it works is you have to pick a player, an active player, as a uniform selection from any of the Philadelphia teams. The idea being you want to have the best set of uniforms for the long term, that you're not reinvesting in 3 or 4 years, that they are still active. So again, like Jason Kelce, while an all-timer and while likely to be active in a sense of you can always feel good wearing a Jason Kelce jersey, especially if you wear like a Mummers hat with it, to Lincoln Financial Field, you want to have somebody that's still on the field and invested in. So that's kind of where we are. Trey Turner's off the board, Bryce Harper's off the board, and Gritty was the number 1 pick. Yes, Gritty was the number 1 pick.
Which makes me regret not going Fanatic number 2. If we really want to cheat the game here. Fanatic's not going anywhere.
Well, yeah, especially now that the lawsuit's settled.
Exactly. But I'm sticking to the players. Price is going to get me another decade.
All right, we're going to switch it up. We'll do Sixers here. Look, they're in Washington tonight. The Wizards are bad. The Wizards did win in Phoenix right before the holiday. But the Wizards are bad. The Sixers have won 8 in a row. This is a game you should not have too much of a concern over, except with this team. You okay there?
I'm good.
Making sure the electronics still work.
Yeah, we're all set.
You should have no concern over the fact that they should win this game, except for the fact that the Sixers can be a little loopy at times. And even in this 8-game winning streak, they've looked solid, but they've had these moments where they've fallen asleep. The game against Indiana, the game against the Lakers, the game against Toronto, where they took long stretches of the game off. Even I thought on Sunday they didn't look great in the first half until like the final 2-3 minutes where they kind of poured everything on. But then on the big story out of Sunday was James Harden. And the report by Woj that indicated that James Harden is already starting to look for an exit ramp. And maybe that's unfair, but if things don't work out in Philadelphia, i.e. if he doesn't get the contract that he wants, well, maybe he'll opt out and consider going to the Houston Rockets, who are an awful, awful team. And to me, this is just a ridiculous amount of games. One, the timing could not be worse. Okay? The timing could not be worse. That in the middle of your best moment of the year, they're starting to play down this road. To me, just is ridiculous. And it's distracting. And yet, Ray, I think the one question I have is, we've seen this before from James Harden. This is not a new act. He did this in Houston when he wanted out. He started to drop the hints and then finally said, nope, I'm gone. And he did it in Brooklyn, which, as Dee pointed out yesterday, Philadelphia was always the spot he wanted to go to, and the Rockets had no intention of trading him here. But he did that in Brooklyn and kind of walked and talked his way out of Brooklyn. So how concerned are you right now that he's doing the same thing he's done in the past?
I'm not tremendously concerned. This report to me didn't do much in terms of like, oh no, what's going to happen with James Harden? Because I kind of feel like this is the reality of this season. This is kind of your make or break year with him in terms of what he wants out of this partnership. And I get that him and Joel have been together now for the end of one season, now over a summer into this next season. We saw Embiid put in some work in terms of like off the court, like showing up, I think, to his wine release, just being seen with him in the off season, put some work into their relationship. It's not surprising me two guys that like to have the ball in their hand are still trying to figure out how to coexist with one another 32 games into a new NBA season when Harden comes back physically much better than he was a year ago and trying to figure out the limitations of his game at his age. Embiid, who was hurt in the postseason and, had the question of his availability at that point, they never really got on the same page, it felt like. So they're still trying to figure out the early parts of their partnership. So I can understand there. I also understand the look of, hey, Doc Rivers hasn't gotten this team out of the second round. And, hey, do I fully buy into everything Doc Rivers is selling me?
But why now? Why are you leaking this report now?
Well, I mean, this report comes from an ESPN report right before an ABC game. Like, this is something that's
I don't think Woj made it up.
I don't think he made it up, but it's something they heard, and it's the timing of the report is quite spectacular if you're ESPN.
Well, it gets more interest for a game that
right. I'm not saying it's made up, but I don't think it's a massive like the story reads, hey, he's eyeing potentially Houston. Okay. If there's a early playoff exit, that may sour him on Philadelphia. If there's a long playoff run, he may like Philadelphia. Like, these to me seem to be things that like generic NBA star fill in feels about their roster, feels about their team. This guy's been my coach for the end of one season, the beginning of another. We were mediocre at the beginning of the season. We just went on this run. I'm still trying to figure out what I believe in his system. I have this running mate that we have to figure out how we mesh together. I'm still trying to figure that out. Like those things seem very typical for me for December basketball. And then the idea that if they have an early playoff exit, hey, he's at the end of his career, and if he wants to get paid and he wants to go to a city that he likes that has cap room where maybe he can entice another star to follow him, I feel like every NBA star, no matter how they answer the questions, has that thought at least occur to them and tells someone in their inner circle.
Yeah, but I don't want to hear if James Harden goes to Houston. I don't want to hear he's going to go win a title. He's going for because the fact.
Well, if he can bring another star there, well, he's got cap space.
Do you think he's going to be able to get another star to go to Houston right now with the way they're?
They got young talent there. I know they're not like this is not like the Rockets are coming to town. I'm worried about them playing. Bring in another star. You bring in Harden. You still have space to maybe add a piece or two. You're not looking.
But he's also not going for like the. He's going to go for the most he could get. Obviously the NFL, the NBA, you could get the most by staying with your team. Yeah, there's cap. The way the cap works, but he could go make a pretty decent coin. It would be a paycheck grab for a guy at the end of his career. I think.
I mean, it could be, and he could also go the route of, hey, we'll save a couple million up back in Houston where I like it here. I like the lifestyle here. I can grab someone else with me the way he did in Philadelphia. If he doesn't feel like this roster is conducive to him having the success he wants.
Yep. 610-632-0975. Mike is joining us from Atlanta. Hi, Mike. Hello, Mike.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hi, Mike. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm good.
Yeah, so just coming off of what you guys were just talking about, it's kind of funny. What I think about is it's not as much on Philly and Joel as it is on potentially our chicken wing establishments, if you get me.
Are you saying that James likes to visit some clubs?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's what's well known. And maybe the Houston club scene is something that, he's looking forward to getting back to.
Oh, Mike, you're way too jaded, but probably not on a bad train of thought on that one. So,
Hey, but what I really wanted to talk about was, one, you guys were asking that question about what jersey. The jersey I was thinking of was Tyrese Maxey, just to keep it with the basketball theme. But the other thing I really wanted to talk about is if the NFL season was to end today and we had the draft going, right, I think right now we would be picking 10th.
Yes.
I think that puts us out of the runnings for some of the top-end defenders. I know that's what I would eyeball, but what would you guys be looking for to pick up at that position? And I'll let you guys discuss it.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. I would go corner.
Secondary for sure.
Yeah, Joey Porter Jr. would be a guy who on that 10 range would be there probably from Penn State. I love the way he plays. I think he would play well as a safety in this league. He's a ball hawk. If you've watched Penn State all year, he flies to the football. I would say Joey Porter Jr. would be the guy I would target, but you would have to go defensive back in some realm there.
Yeah, I would be thinking defensive back, and depending on, they love to reassure that line. I think they've done enough to reassure it in the draft over the next couple of years, depending on, Kelsey. We talk about Kelsey every year with the retirement, whether or not they want a little more insurance.
Yeah, I would go that maybe second or third round.
Right. I'm trying to think of other ways, other places where they could go. But I personally would believe that if I was doing it, it'd be secondary, somewhere in the secondary. And I can't sit here and tell you I've paid a ton of attention to who's going to be the top end guy in the secondary because I was all about the defensive lineman at the top of the draft, and then the Saints decided to start winning football games.
Yeah, the defensive lineman, the one from Alabama is the one that everybody kind of wanted. You're not going to get him now. It's pretty clear. I mean, he could end up in Chicago if Chicago ends up with the number 2 pick because the Bears don't need a quarterback. I mean, the Bears are pretty set up in that role. I would say, it was funny because I wanted Kyle Hamilton last year.
Right.
I admit, and I was on record. If you go back on my Twitter feed, you could see I was big on I'd rather have had Kyle Hamilton than Jordan Davis. Now, I can't criticize the pick, but it felt like it was at an area that they didn't need at that point. Kyle Hamilton hasn't had a great year for Baltimore, but Joey Porter is a guy I would really, really love to see this team get. So, but again, that's a long way off. And if you're picking 10, would it surprise you if Howie Roseman uses 10 as a trade bait? Especially
not
if
I was literally about to say that as soon as you finish your point.
I mean, because if there's quarterbacks still around at 10, it would make sense. He would be crazy not to at this point.
No, and I think he's going to shop it to the very last second, especially ending up at 10, where he thought he could be picking earlier this season. If he doesn't like the value he's getting, just kick the can down the road. Maybe a team
He
starts
is
to fail.
big on value.
Yeah, loves his value.
Loves his value.
Loves his value. All right, we got to update our draft now that we got a
go.
Maxi pick.
Go ahead.
So the callers now with Gritty and Maxi. You've got
next.
Trey Turner. I've got Harper. Do you want to snake the two of us?
No.
Let the
Go ahead.
callers?
You go.
Oh, okay.
I'll take the
Let's
last
see.
pick every time.
Ooh. You know, I'm gonna take this one from YouTube because I really liked it and I really like where this is going. Actually, no, you know what? I'm gonna forget that. Scratch that. I never said that. Those words, dump that, Dan. I never start down that thought.
Hello.
I'm gonna go with the quarterback. I'll go Jalen Hurts. I have a good feeling. I know we're in the MVP year. I'm reaching the apex of this, but I like the value of Jalen Hurts on this one. So I'm going Jalen Hurts.
You're going Jalen Hurts?
Yeah.
See, I'm a little leery on this one. Okay? I'm going to take Embiid.
That was one of the ones I was thinking.
But the reason I'm a little leery is, that scenario you painted when about Harden earlier. If you get to the end of the year and you've bombed out again in the second round or first round, which, by the way, is not inconceivable.
Good East. Very good Eastern
Very
Conference.
good Eastern Conference. When does Joel kind of tap out and say, hey, I want out?
Hey, Jimmy, how are things down at South Beach?
I'm not sure Jimmy, though. I'm not sure he would go to South Beach. I could see him trying to make to L.A.
To
the Lakers.
And how do they work that one out?
You could probably look at, Anthony Davis would have to move.
Right.
Is Davis a free agent coming up, though? I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, and my computer's down. But it feels like Joel would want to play in L.A. The Lakers are going to be in a little bit of a rebuild. By the way, if you're LeBron, how much longer do you want to? You're going obviously to try to break Kareem's record. How much? And LA is where you're going to stay. It's your final stop. But the question is, once you're done that, how many more years do you think LeBron has at this point? And if you're Embiid, do you try to talk your way there to make it part of the LeBron farewell tour?
I always thought if there was going to be an Embiid wandering eyes, I always thought it was going to be South Beach.
Because of Butler.
Because he respects him so much, enjoys him so much.
Yeah. Yeah, and they would have assets that they can move.
Because they just find guys. They have a tremendous job of just finding dudes.
Well, it's an appealing place to go. No state tax, South Beach, warm weather, beautiful scenery. Some of the clubs that were mentioned
Mike was
earlier.
talking about.
Mike was talking. I could see that, but
I don't want to think about it. It's not happening. It's not.
Neil says LeBron wants to play until his son is in the league. He wants to play with his son. No.
Well, he has said that. He has
said that, but it ain't happening. Do you? I mean, his son's got 4 years left before he.
How valuable is having LeBron to the point where you're trying to draft his son? Because I heard the younger son is the one that the scouts love more. So for his older son, how much are you moving? It's okay. We're a long way away from that. So just to be clear, what we've got in terms of our
draft,
our draft here. The callers have Gritty and Maxi. Kevin has Trey Turner and Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
And I've got Bryce Harper and Jalen Hurts.
By the way, the Embiid jersey would be the Sixer jersey or the Spectrum jersey, which they should have never got rid of.
I also have the Embiid Spectrum. It's a good one. It's a great one.
The one this year, not so great. That city of brotherly love.
I'm fine with the city of kind of gets me at the top. Brotherly love I can deal with. Just it's a busy look.
Like I like the fact that the Sixers have a new look a little bit every year, but some of them are not.
When you hit as big as you did with the Spectrum one, it's tough to move off to the next one. The next one to replace the Spectrum one was always going to be.
Well,
it was a tough.
The
act
next
to
one
follow.
has to be the Iverson one or the Iverson era one.
Everyone wants the Iverson.
Everybody wants the Iverson era one, but this organization doesn't want to go down that road. 610-632-0975. Join in the conversation. You could get a draft pick. You could talk a little Eagles, talk a little Sixers. Josh, you'll be on the other side of the break. We'll also talk about things that annoy us in sports. I know Festivus was last week, but there's one issue that really annoys me, and I find it especially annoying at this time of year, and we'll get to that. And Ray, I'm sure, has an annoying thing. Probably the guy sitting to his right at this point is annoying him.
No, could never be.
Ask my wife. This is 97.5 The Fanatic, and here's Ray with the update.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Injuries over the holiday. I'm Ray Dunne. This update is brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. If you're 50 or older and live with a chronic condition, untreated COVID could be deadly. Talk to a doctor and get treated right away. We can do this. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. The Eagles update us on a number of injuries on Monday following their loss to the Cowboys on Christmas Eve. Lane Johnson will miss the rest of the regular season, but there's optimism he could return in the postseason with a torn tendon in his abdomen. Avonte Maddox, however, will be out indefinitely with a serious toe injury. And starting quarterback Jalen Hurts' status is still up in the air as he tries to manage through the pain of a shoulder sprain. The Eagles face the Saints at 1 o'clock on New Year's Day, trying to lock up the number 1 seed in the NFC and the NFC East. The Sixers are going for their 9th straight win tonight against the Wizards following their big Christmas Day win over the Knicks. This is their second of a 4-game road trip. You can catch that game tonight on 97.5 The Fanatic. Keep it locked right here for all the latest news and information. I'm Ray Dunne for 97.5 The Fanatic.
Anthony Gargano, weekdays 10 to 2 on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey guys, Bob Cooney here. Now is the perfect time to download FanDuel in partnership with Valley Forge, America's #1 sportsbook. New customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's free bets back if your first bet doesn't win. All you have to do is sign up with promo code Bob. You know what you love about FanDuel. You have money lines, point spreads, and what we all love, player props. And you can combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same-game parlay. And now with live betting, you get updated odds on games that have already started. And most importantly, you get paid fast. All on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. So sign up with promo code Bob for your no-sweat first bet. That's promo code Bob. Make every moment more this season with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
21 plus and present in PA. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Ad paid for by Anthem Tax Services. $80 billion approved for the IRS to beef up their efforts to pursue those that owe. Are you tired of the IRS letters, levies, liens, or wage garnishments? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes to the IRS, you need Anthem Tax Services. 30-plus years of experienced, top-rated tax professionals with over $500 million in represented tax liabilities and licensed in all 50 states. We are A-plus rated on the BBB and #1 choice on Money.com. Due to the financial hardships in the country, the IRS is making it easier than ever to settle your tax. Anthem Tax Services will find the program that is right for you, like the Fresh Start initiative that can drastically reduce your tax debt. We can help settle delinquent tax problems, end all collections, and may even reduce back taxes by up to 99%. Call Anthem Tax Services at 800-217-5312 for a free no-obligation tax analysis, personal or business. Stop your tax problems from getting worse. Call Anthem Tax today, 800-217-5312, 800-217-5312, or anthemtaxservices.com.
Hi, it's John Kincaid. I hope you're listening to the show every single morning. You know, I'm a 2-time cancer survivor, so I want to thank all of you who have joined us in supporting life-saving cancer research by donating at aacr.org/fanatic. And to our generous corporate partners, thank you for stepping up and supporting the AACR. It's the official charity of the John Kincaid Show.
Davis CPA Group. For personalized caring accountants, bookkeeping, payroll, and tax preparation services, visit daviscpagroup.com. With over 1,500 windows to choose from, Window Nation can outfit any home. Call 866-90Nation or visit windownation.com. You can always count on H&H Heating and Air Conditioning for total home comfort and fast, friendly, and local HVAC service. Visit delcohvac.com.
You know, donations to the American Association for Cancer Research from our listeners and corporate partners add up to big breakthroughs that benefit cancer patients worldwide. Join me. Make a life-saving donation today at aacr.org/fanatic.
Cleaning and repairing a building's wastewater pump system is a job, but someone has to do it, and in Philadelphia, that someone is Pumpman Philly. In fact, Pumpman Philly is #1 in everything related to your building's wastewater system, including #2s, troubleshooting, emergency repairs, maintenance, and system replacement. Trust Pumpman Philly to keep the go in your building's flow. 24/7, 365. Call 833-559-PUMP. That's 833-559-PUMP. PumpmanPhilly.com.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction, go with trust,
Go Birds!
and go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia dreams. Oh, and go Birds.
The new year is here. Time for a change. Start a recession-resistant new career in the high-demand IT field with My Computer Career in just months. Already in IT? Build your cybersecurity skills and prep for thousands of open positions employers nationwide are desperate to fill. Attend classes live online or on campus, and financial aid is available to those who qualify, including the GI Bill. Make this your year. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. That's mycomputercareer.edu.
My dad has a cold, but also has high blood pressure. That's why I got him Vicks NyQuil High Blood Pressure for fast, powerful nighttime relief. Unlike some ordinary cold medicines, it's specially formulated for people like my dad. NyQuil High Blood Pressure is sugar-free, alcohol-free, and decongestant-free.
Vicks NyQuil High Blood Pressure. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, cold, and flu for people with high blood pressure.
Like my dad.
Medicine. Use as directed.
Hey, it's Cuz for Golden Nugget Jewelers. You think about getting an engagement ring? Well, if you're ready to pop the question, you got to go see your own at Golden Nugget Jewelers now. Largest selection of certified diamonds and engagement rings. Your perfect ring at Golden Nugget Jewelers. Major financing options, unbeatable prices for name brands like Viraggio and Tacori for the settings. Right at the corner of 8th and Chestnut. It's engagement season. Now's the time to get the big ring and get all of your holiday shopping done. Get the present of a lifetime at Golden Nugget Jewelers, where Philly gets engaged.
Listen to 97.5 The Fanatic everywhere on Alexa at 975thefanatic.com, the Fanatic app, and now on Odyssey. More of the Anthony Gargano Show now
on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hello. The 11 o'clock hour is brought to you by Golden Nugget Jewelers, where Philly gets engaged. Kevin Cooney, Ray Dunne in for the Cuz and Shunis. I switched seats, by the way. I switched chairs because I felt like I was sitting like on top of a flagpole. Like I get it.
I might just be short. That might just be me.
No, like it just felt weird. You ever get in those chairs where it feels like you're sitting on like a stool or a stilt? Or
I have a problem in there often, producing wise, in terms of sitting, standing, the whole working of it. Because again, I'm still relatively new with this,
right?
So trying to
I'm
figure
relatively new with it too, and in that sense, here at least.
Yes, but the workflow for me is the tough one, where I'm sliding and I'm trying to reach for phone. I'm trying to figure out how far the cord of my headphones goes. Should I sit? Should I stand? There's a clear divide. Some producers are sit and produce. Some are stand and produce. It's a lot to work.
Dan, you're a sitter, correct?
No.
No?
Sometimes I do both.
You do both? Wait, you sit and stand at the same time? That's saying something.
Oh, I can't really sit and stand at the same time. I tried that, but then I broke something, and then they asked me to pick up.
610-632-0975. Josh is on the line. Hi, Josh.
Hey, Kevin. How you guys doing?
Hi, Josh. I was wondering who Josh was, and I think I recognized the voice here.
Hey, Josh.
I was going to say, long time listener, first time caller.
This is Josh Verlin from City of Basketball Love, a great website for high schools and college basketball in the area. Where I know you're off to a game somewhere. Go ahead.
I'm actually sitting outside Cristo Rey High School. We need to go into the first of 5 games today, but I had to call you guys and say the show sounds awesome. I will ask a question. I will ask a basketball question, but I think it's a pretty good one. We've had, a number of high-level, current NBA players come through the Philadelphia area, whether that's as high schoolers or as college players over the last few years. Which current NBA player with Philadelphia ties do you guys think would most help the Sixers right now?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Current player.
Current player, current NBA pro who either is from Philly, played high school ball in Philly, college ball, etc. And I'm in Philly.
Yeah, because that's the universal argument is Villanova, Philadelphia school.
For sure. Villanova totally counts for this.
Jalen Brunson.
Can I bring back Mikal Bridges?
Well, that would be the other one, too.
That would be the one in my mind. Bridges, obviously the trade and running down through the timeline of everything work, the assets you acquired in that trade. I understand what happened, but I would love Mikal Bridges on this team.
See, Brunson's the best player. And Brunson allows you then to have a true point, maybe allows you to not feel obligated to get a James Harden. And Brunson's playing really well right now for the Knicks, too.
He's had a really good stretch.
So, all right, Josh, I want to ask you, excuse me, jersey, we're doing this jersey draft, right? Can you explain it to him?
Yeah, so we're doing a jersey draft where it's where we're trying to get a team built around the jerseys that'll have the longest active use. So the longest tenured players who get the most use out of the jersey.
You don't want to buy a jersey that you're selling off next year.
Right, exactly. So we've had the callers so far, their team is Gritty and Maxey. Kevin's team is Trey Turner and Joel Embiid, and I've got Bryce Harper and Jalen Hurts. Do you have a pick to contribute to the callers' team?
Nobody said Devontae Smith?
Nope. And I was actually just thinking that. The Devontae Smith was the next one off the board. Josh, have fun at Cristo Ray today. Appreciate it, man.
Have a great day, guys.
Yep. Josh Ferlin from City of Basketball. Love joining us here. Devontae Smith and AJ, well,
AJ Brown might.
I'm assuming you're taking AJ Brown now.
No, we can have this conversation before we make our next picks.
Okay. Devontae Smith and AJ Brown they're the foundation. If you have them with Jalen Hurts long term, and I know Hurts' contract's up at the end, you're going to make the decision on Hurts at the end of the year here. Boy, you got a really nice foundation for the next 4 or 5 years.
Yes, you do. You really do, and it's very difficult to not roll with the AJ Brown pick coming up next, just because how young. He's the experienced wide receiver that's on this team, but he's still so young.
Yeah.
So for me, with that next pick, it'll be AJ Brown.
It's AJ Brown. I figured that. Boy, this is where it starts to get tricky. Okay, because James Harden may not be here next year.
May not be here in 2 years.
May not be here in 2 years. I'm going to go Zach Wheeler.
Ooh, going pitcher.
I
was a bit timid to go pitcher.
I'm going Zach Wheeler only because he has a couple years left on his contract. He has some roots in the area now with his wife from Jersey. I think he's going to be. I think he'll pretty much settle here for the rest of his career. I think the Phillies put a premium on Zach Wheeler, more so even than I think Aaron Nola going forward.
Yeah, that was a conversation that I was interested whether it would catch early in this offseason. And I know they had a lot of moves to make and they had a lot to do, but about Aaron Nola and a potential extension, I was curious when we would start hearing any sort of discussion about that.
I would think that'll be after the first of the year. You're going to start hearing it, but who knows if, to be honest, if you're Aaron Nola, Nola. It was funny. I talked to somebody yesterday, and he said Nola's a bit of a different guy. He would probably take a little bit less money to stay here because he's comfortable and he feels respected here and all that. The question would be, do you try to play the market out a little bit here and go into this year and have it go that way? I would personally, I'm not the biggest Nola fan in the world. I'll be honest. I know he has great numbers and everything. There's some stuff that I still question about him and his role at this point. But I know I'm in the minority.
I don't think you are.
You don't think so?
I think it's a lot closer to 50-50 than you would think.
See, my fear is in big moments. I mean,
and there's a lot of people. I think there's a lot of people in your realm.
This year did a little bit to ease some of that because he pitched well in September. He pitched well early in the postseason. The start against the Padres and then the two in the World Series or the one in the World Series didn't help. But yeah, I think or the two in the World Series really didn't help. I think I would go Wheeler as my next pick. So that's my next pick. I'm locked.
All right. So update your teams here. Callers: Gritty, Maxey, Devontae Smith, Kevin Nash, Trey Turner, Joel Embiid, Zach Wheeler, and I've got Bryce Harper, Jalen Hurts, and A.J. Brown.
And you could have the next pick at 610-632-0975. Ray and I were talking about this this morning. Today is really the unofficial start of bowl season. I know it's been going on for like 2 weeks. Okay? I hate college football's bowl season. I do. Because the amount of games that are on that now feature 6-6, 7-5 teams playing in Fenway, Yankee Stadium, Motor City Bowl, or the old Motor City Bowl, it annoys me. I think we've rewarded mediocrity in college football, and I get it. It fills airtime at a time when ESPN, who's the primary organization that runs these bowls or airs these bowls, gets it. That is the most annoying thing in sports because I think aside from the playoffs, the New Year's 6 games, you can throw a few others that are pretty good. I don't need 40 bowls. I just don't. The saturation to me waters down the entire product.
Yeah, I mean, coming from a guy that went to a American Athletic Conference school,
which has gone to about 2 bowls in the last 10 years. Yes,
that's no
3.
They were bowl eligible for what? They were
and they got passed over for being
passed
bowl
over in 14,
eligible.
15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. They went to 5.
They didn't go to that many, did they?
Yeah, they did. They went the last 2 years of Rule, the 2 years of Collins, and the first year of Carey. They went to 5.
I forgot they went under Carey.
Yeah, they
Carey,
did. First
Carey
year
was a disaster.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Well, that was my 4-year experience, really,
Yes.
was the last year of Collins and the first year of Carey. And the 17 days of Mandiaz mixed in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun time. Yes. From that point of view, Bulls were, cool in the sense of they're
But it
going
was
to
like
a bowl game.
Annapolis.
Right, yeah. You're going to Annapolis. You're going to the Bad Boy Mowers Gasparilla Bowl. There is...
Get the plug in.
For someone... yeah. Bad Boy Mower. No. There's certainly, for me, as someone who just wants to slump on the couch and watch some football, I don't mind it. The just quality of football that you watch, if you go in expecting a good game for some of these, you're just sorely, sorely disappointed. I know that our own Tyler Zulli said that the bowl he was most looking forward to was like the 21st. I think he already got the bowl that he was looking forward to.
Which one was that?
Oh, God. Tyler, I hope you're out there listening. I know you have work. So I don't know. I'll have to go look. It's digital content. You can find it on the website. I'll go find it again. But I remember him mentioning that the bowl he was most looking forward to was going to be like the 21st before, obviously, you get to your playoffs, your New Year's 6. And I'm a major fan of Rose Bowl Day. Love Rose Bowl Day. Rose Bowl
was the best.
That is some say the granddaddy of them all, but that is the ultimate watching experience for me.
Well, because it's the scene, it's the history, it's the scene, the twilight over the San Gabriels. That stadium is the old-fashioned one-deck kind of stadium. Yeah. Big Ten and Pac-12 going at it. It'll have a little extra meaning, too, once the two most legendary Pac-12 programs join the Big Ten in a couple of years. Yeah, that's one. That's actually on my sports bucket list. I want to get to the Rose Bowl one time. I'm not sure I'm going to do that because it's fairly ridiculous to get out there price wise. But I would say that's one thing. Like that one, the Sugar Bowl. Those I'm fine with them. I mean the original ones, the Cotton, all that. It's when we get into that like lower tier, which is just so
slop. And this year, there wasn't enough bowl eligible teams, so you're granting eligibility to teams. So you got some 5 and 7s rolling in there. It's tough. certainly difficult for some of these early bowl games.
All right, so let me give you like today's bowl schedule. It's the Camellia Bowl, Georgia Southern and Buffalo, in Montgomery, Alabama.
Yikes.
Yeah, the Serve Pro First Responder Bowl at in Dallas at SMU. It's going to be Memphis and Utah State.
Memphis.
Okay.
AAC.
The Ticket Smarter Birmingham Bowl, ironically in Birmingham. Coastal Carolina and East Carolina. Should have been played in Myrtle Beach.
They got to play. No, they got to play that one like in the middle of nowhere, Carolina. Get it between
Play
the
it
two.
in Clemson.
Between ECU.
Play it in Clemson.
Yeah.
Okay.
Battle of the Carolinas. ECU obviously is an AAC school. Going to win that one.
All right. And Guaranteed Rate Bowl, Wisconsin and Oklahoma State. That's actually not a
that's
awful
not a
game.
terrible game. Oklahoma State had a lot of people
Wisconsin's
fooled
not
earlier.
good. Wisconsin's 6-6. Never mind. Strike that.
Oh yeah, well because the Big Ten West was
awful. Right.
Division of frauds.
Right. Division of frauds.
Was the fact that we had to watch a Big Ten championship that was, and it's almost every year now. It feels that way. But
what, that the Big Ten championship game is lopsided?
Is the Big Ten championship is the game before the Big Ten championship.
Oh, which is Michigan, Ohio State.
Yeah.
You know, Penn State people would have an objection to that.
They would, but
Penn
then
State's
they should
constantly a semifinalist.
Yeah,
and then
they should probably win a conference championship, or get that.
Well, they have beat Ohio
They got there in
State and
2016.
Michigan. Yeah, they did beat Ohio State and Michigan.
They beat Ohio State in 2016.
Right,
that's the last time. The block kick, right? That was
yeah,
the
the block punt, and then they ended up going to the Rose Bowl, and then they lost to USC.
Yes. And I was there when they beat Michigan in 2019 with the game where it's the clip that circulates like every month. Where Michigan first play of the game has to call a timeout because it's so loud because of the whiteout, which it was very loud there. But
I love Penn State. I love going to Penn State. I used to cover some Penn State football.
Oh, it's an exciting
It's a great
thing up
atmosphere.
there. The atmosphere, but
parking lot scene's a little weird, but
to pretend that they're at the same level of the Ohio State and Michigan right now.
As Mike says on the YouTube chat, TV ratings of bowl games are too good. Yeah, it's background noise is basically what it is. I mean, if you're vacuuming the house or something, you have it on the TV. How many people sit down and are watching the First Responder Bowl today at 3:45? That will not be you.
No, will not be.
That will not be you. What annoys you?
Sports annoyance for me, it's got to be the national TV start time for a game.
I mean, the 5
delay.
minutes after
the
an hour?
delay. This game's listed at 7. Let's get it rolling at 7:15. Or they list the pregame coverage time.
The NHL is the worst with that.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I'm not going to pretend like I have important things going on in my life. I am too young to be really doing too much of importance. But it's like, come on, just give me the real time. I don't want to have to go through and try and figure this out. And I got a friend that is on the beat for one of the teams in town, and he'll always tweet out as a joke, he'll tweet out the start time based on the real start time. And people get upset with, no one cares. People actually thank him for it. And for me, I thank him for it because I need it. I would like to know exactly when this thing's going to start because I want to know if I have something going on. If I sit down, I want to be able to see it.
Well, with baseball, it's always 7:08 or 7:10 or something like that. Occasionally it used to be 7:05, but there's too much in the way of commercials and all that. The NFL is pretty specific. 1:02, it's in the air. If you watch Red Zone Channel, if they go at 1:03, there's teams on their first drive. Like they start because time's money for them. But yeah, the NHL is the one that is the real kicker on that, where they start because of the way everything is going on. They start at 20 after in a lot of cases because the networks who are paying them money want to have a little bit of a pregame and a little bit of a warm up and all that, and so that's why it happens. It's annoying. I agree with you. That's annoying. Also, fireworks shows indoors are annoying. I should point
Fireworks indoors.
Like if you go to a Sixer game and the big torches.
The torches. Yeah, you feel the heat. I mean, I'm a second deck.
You're a second deck guy?
Type customer for them. I feel the heat up there. It warms up.
The press table is right next to the flame.
Oh, man.
I am almost believing it is a conspiracy to eliminate all of us at some point.
Wow.
taking a dark turn on that one. You know?
All right.
They got the torch going for everyone. That's right with the Woj.
Dan, am I wrong?
With the Harden report.
I don't know about the conspiracy theory, but depending on who's seated where next to the torch, maybe.
Yeah. Here's the other part of it. Like, if you're in a building and they have, like, the fireworks shows, okay? Like, stuff coming from the top and everything. It fills it with smoke. And so the first 3 or 4 minutes of a game is shrouded in smoke from this thing. That's what I don't get. And Al Michaels did a whole rant about it on Sunday Night Football about, I want to say 10 years ago, about one day he fears that something bad's going to happen with all this. And maybe that's being a little over alarmist, but I get why. No, you're
I
this
agree
fireman, Dan.
Go ahead, Dan.
My only concern, like when you do that, so you got to make sure, like it's not going to catch anything.
Banners,
have the banners.
That's why Wells Fargo is great. There hasn't been new banners there in years.
But the ones that have up there have been collecting dust. So if they're all dusty, that's also going to be combustible.
Yeah,
that's my only fear of that when they do that inside. I'm waiting for something just to light off, so I'm right there with them.
610-632-0975. Kenny from Mayfair. I got one of my peeps on. If he's a Judge guy, I'm going to be really happy. Hi, Kenny. How are you?
I'm not a Judge guy. I'm doing okay. Thank
All right,
you.
Kenny, where'd you go?
Well, I'm going with the Jersey.
Okay.
I think the Anthony Melton's going to hang around. I think he's earned the right at least 4 or 5 years.
I got to admit, that's an off the board, but a pretty good selection. I mean,
that's. I'm thinking that it's a good shot.
I would agree with you. That's a pretty good, again, off the wall, but pretty good in terms of, hey, he'll probably, if he continues to play this well in his role.
I think he's earned it. I think he's earned that. I think they're going to sign him. They'll give him a little extension, whatever. I don't know what his contract is, but I think if he, the way he's playing, what he's doing, to have his shirt 4 or 5 years, I think he'll be here. That would be my choice.
Kenny, what do you would you put Melvin back on the bench when Maxey comes back, or do you kind of leave it the way it is right now?
No, I put him on the bench. No, they haven't played together enough for me to sit Maxey. No, he's a superstar. He's a rock star. No, he goes right back in.
Okay.
But the sixth man, he's perfect. No, it's perfect for sixth guy to me.
Yeah. Kenny, I appreciate it. Thanks for giving a call in, and I'll see you at Frankfurt and Cottman.
Okay, thanks, buddy.
I'm sorry. Us Mayfair guys have
I'm letting you have your Mayfair moment. This Mayfair moment.
Mayfair moments are just, I mean, they're tear-jerking.
Someone from Oaks, Pennsylvania wants to call, and I'll be more than happy to share everything.
Where would you hang out at the where was the hangout in Oaks, PA?
They built a Wegmans and then the shopping center around the Wegmans. Yes. That is where just kind of wander that.
Just wander that?
Yeah, just wander around.
So your celebratory moments were at a Wegmans?
Well, when you put it like that.
Well, I mean, seriously, like for us in Mayfair, it was Frankfurt and Cottman. Everybody knows that. It's become region famous. It's not world famous, but it's region
famous. I guess. Oof. Yeah, I guess it would be that.
See, that was the great part. That was the great part of city living, was that you had that communal moment where you could go whenever a big moment happened.
Right.
You would go there. 93 Phillies. I was out there partying like a kid when I was 18 years old.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was that shopping center because there was the rally house there. And when they won, people, I remember the Eagles, when the Eagles were winning, that rally house open after an Eagles big win, people flooding the rally house. People ready to go, trying to get their shirts, trying to get their celebration. There used to be a Champs in there, the restaurant Champs.
Uh-huh.
I love that. That's honestly where the hangout was. Champs was the place to be.
Dan, I think, is on the phone, but I was going to say to Dan, you know how old he makes me feel when he says Rally House and like Champs and all that? When like I'm going back to like Herman's and
Clover.
like what?
Yeah.
Clover.
Yeah.
2 guys.
I'm not that old.
I am.
You are? 2 guys guy?
I heard you say it yesterday when you were on about what you will be turning this year, and I'll leave you to repeat that.
I'm going to be 50.
I'm already 51.
Okay. 2 guys was at the end of mine.
Mm-hmm. I vaguely remember it.
Yeah.
but I remember because we had one near us where I live in Jersey.
All right. Speaking of jerseys, your pick on the jerseys now that D'Anthony Melton is gone.
Now that D'Anthony Melton is gone, I'm looking around right now. Will not be taking a flyer. I'm not taking the risk with the flyer. So that's out.
Let's see how long we could go without a flyer besides Gritty, but go ahead.
Yeah, and Beat and Maxey, both off the board. And now I'm looking at this Phillies team. Where do I want to go there? Do I want to go for certainty? And I think I'm going to keep with the football team. And I think I'm going to roll with the man that protects my second overall pick, my second round pick.
You're going to take the guy I would have taken.
I'm going to take Jordan Mailata.
I figured that. Yeah, that's a pretty good one. I will also go on the football team. I'll go Jordan Davis. I think Jordan Davis is being a rookie. He's locked in for 4 or 5 years, and I think he's going to actually have a really breakout year as
pair of Jordans.
Yeah, once he gets healthy next year and he's going to see more time, I think he'll be pretty good. So 610-632-0975. When we come back, Jim Jackson will join us to talk a little Flyers as they begin this 3-game West Coast trip, come back from the holiday break, try to get some feel on Carter Hart. That'll be next here on 97.5 The Fanatic, but first, Ray has your update.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A holiday hurting. I'm Ray Dunne, and this update is brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. If you're 50 or older or live with a chronic condition, untreated COVID could be deadly. Talk to a doctor and get treated right away. We can do this. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. The Eagles updated us on Monday about a number of injuries following their 40-34 loss to the Cowboys on Christmas Eve. Offensive tackle Lane Johnson will miss the rest of the regular season, but there's optimism he can return for the postseason as he deals with a torn tendon in his abdomen. Devontae Maddox, however, is out indefinitely with a serious toe injury, and your starting quarterback, Jalen Hurts, well, his status is still up in the air as he tries to manage the pain through a shoulder sprain. The Eagles face the Saints at 1 o'clock on New Year's Day. As for the Sixers, they're going for their 9th straight win tonight. That one's against the Wizards following a big Christmas Day victory over the Knicks. This is the second of a 4-game road trip. Keep it locked right here for all the latest news and information. I'm Ray Dunne for 97.5 The Fanatic.
It's the Cuz, Anthony Gargano. Weekdays 10 to 2 on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, it's Cuz. There's a place in Pennsylvania where the aroma of freshly baked bread takes you back to a kinder, gentler time. A time when families still gather together to enjoy traditional recipes and fresh ingredients. That time and place still exists. You got it. Corporalee's Bakery and Deli. Since 1924, the Corporalee's family's been sharing their family's favorite foods and flavors with their favorite Philadelphians. Hand-carved deli meats and cheeses, freshly baked breads, rolls, cookies, and pies, and, of course, the world-famous Corporalee's tomato pie. Whew. Corporalee's Bakery and Deli, 3 locations, Norristown, Limerick, and Audubon, where 4 generations of pride go into everything they make, including stromboli and specialty cakes, you name it. Take yourself back to a better time at Corporalee's Bakery and Deli, where nostalgia isn't just a word, it's an ingredient. Learn more at Corporalee'sBakery.com.
Hey guys, it's Andrew. Start NFL Week 17 off with an NFL same-game parlay insurance from FanDuel in partnership with Valley Forge. Whether you're new to FanDuel or not, get free bets if your 4-leg plus Thursday night parlay falls 1 leg short. Same-game parlays combine bets for a chance at a bigger payday. We got the Titans and we have the Cowboys. So when it comes to the Titans, just look at Derrick Henry and go with his over in rushing yards. When it comes to the Cowboys, you have a couple of choices. Dak Prescott's over in passing yards may be an option, but how about a Tony Pollard anytime touchdown score, as well as CeeDee Lamb, always a good option, and maybe Dalton Schultz and over in his receiving yards. Build yours or choose from the popular pre-built same-game parlays built for you in FanDuel's top-rated sportsbook app. However you play, bet the NFL on Thursday night with same-game parlay. Just sign up with promo code Fanatic. If you don't already have an account, that's promo code Fanatic. And if you have an account, you're all set. Just sign in to see what you've got. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. You got to be 21 plus and present in PA. Refund issues not eligible. Free bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Max free bet $25. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
If you run a small business, you need the most from every investment. That's why Comcast Business gives you more. Like more innovation with our new gig speed Wi-Fi, plus unlimited data. More speed from the largest, fastest, reliable network for small businesses. And more savings, up to 60% a year with Comcast Business Mobile. All from the company that powers more businesses than any other provider. When you need more, you need Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Get started with fast, reliable internet for just $49 a month for 12 months with no annual contract. Or ask how to get up to an $800 prepaid card with a qualifying bundle. Call or go online today. Limited time offer. Restrictions apply. EcoBill and autopay required. New 50 megabits per second internet customers only. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. Mobile Savings compares pricing of top 3 carriers. Comcast Business Internet required.
Ad paid for by Anthem Tax Services. $80 billion approved for the IRS to beef up their efforts to pursue those that owe. Are you tired of the IRS letters, levies, liens, or wage garnishments? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes to the IRS, you need Anthem Tax Services. 30-plus years of experienced, top-rated tax professionals with over $500 million in represented tax liabilities and licensed in all 50 states. We are A-plus rated on the BBB and #1 choice on Money.com. Due to the financial hardships in the country, the IRS is making it easier than ever to settle your tax. Anthem Tax Services will find the program that is right for you, like the Fresh Start initiative that can drastically reduce your tax debt. We can help settle delinquent tax problems, end all collections, and may even reduce back taxes by up to 99%. Call Anthem Tax Services at 800-217-5312 for a free no-obligation tax analysis, personal or business. Stop your tax problems from getting worse. Call Anthem Tax today, 800-217-5312, 800-217-5312, or anthemtaxservices.com.
Hi, I'm Adam Flager. At Flager & Associates, we've specialized in personal injury cases for more than 30 years. A car accident or a slip and fall in icy conditions can change your life. Our clients have peace of mind knowing they have a law firm that handles every aspect of their case so they can concentrate on getting well again. We won't rest until we get top dollar for your case. Call Flager & Associates at 215-953-5200 or visit flagerlaw.com. That's FLAGERLAW.com.
This holiday, give the gift of beauty and well-being with BAM Aesthetics. Located in Bluebell, BAM offers cutting-edge procedures and custom treatments that are clinically proven. Treatments for your specific needs, like Botox, fillers, hydrofacials, laser hair removal, and much more. BAM even specializes in aesthetic care for men who are interested in looking their best. Get 15% off any gift card you purchase through January 2nd using promo code FANATIC. Go to BAMaesthetics.com and give the gift of beauty and well-being today.
For everything your business needs to make this year your year, Staples has you covered.
I need to organize all my papers and files from last year and the year before that.
Staples has you covered.
I need a new desk calendar so that I don't miss a meeting with my boss or a soccer game with my daughter.
Staples has you covered with everything you need to get organized this year. Right now, a 2023 lined desk calendar is $3.99 and an unlined calendar is just $4.99. Make this year your year at Staples. Offer ends 12/31. In-store only.
If you like burritos, which you do because everyone does, you should try Taco Bell's Chipotle Ranch and Salsa Verde grilled chicken burritos. These masterpieces start with a warm flour tortilla that we stuff with grilled chicken. But the real stars here are the bold sauces, Chipotle Ranch or Salsa Verde. In fact, the chicken is the stage upon which these sauces shine. Like this mic is a stage for me to spotlight my theatrical range. 2 chicken burritos, 2 bold flavors, $2 each. Order on the Taco Bell app. At participating U.S. Taco Bell locations for a limited time only. Contact local store for prices, hours, and participation which vary. Tax extra while supplies last.
All the action on the ice giving you the chills? Break away to the hottest game in town, Delilah's. Let the world's most beautiful showgirls warm you up as you claim the game on Delilah's giant video walls. Or skate in after the game. Your ticket stub gives you free admission. Ready for a real power play? Come to Delilah's, voted America's #1 gentleman's club. Just off Delaware Avenue and just out of this world. Delilah's, where body checking is a way of life. Details now at delilahs.com.
WPEN Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station, home of the most entertaining sports talk in Philadelphia. 97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia.
12 o'clock hour is brought to you by Service First Heating and Air Conditioning. Get 0% financing for 72 months and a $500 rebate when you purchase a complete heating and cooling system from Service First. Learn more at servicefirsthvac.com. BeanstalkTV.com. Kevin Cooney, Ray Dunne here on a Tuesday afternoon as we hit high noon on 97.5 The Fanatic. As we've talked Eagles and Sixers here in the first 2 hours, let's get into the Flyers discussion. As joining us now on the Comcast Business Hotline is the longtime television voice of the Orange and Black, my good buddy, Jim Jackson. Jim, how are you?
Doing great, Kevin. How are you?
I'm good. Ray Dunne is with me here. And Jim, they're coming back from the holiday break. Obviously, I think you said practice at 2 o'clock today. And I would assume the thing you're going to be looking at the most is what the status of Carter Hart is after leaving the game the other night in Carolina, correct?
Yeah, that's definitely item number one. You always also look to see if there are going to be some changes, lines and all that. But definitely Carter is the number one priority at this point. It didn't look great when he left. It's 3 days off, which is great. But if it was a concussion and it was a mild concussion, that might be enough time. But and they obviously don't play a game again until Thursday. So we'll see. And he's vital, obviously, to the team even being competitive in a lot of games, although they're pretty high on Sam Ersson. And I know his first game had its ups and downs, but after he came back in to replace Carter, he actually played pretty well. And they're pretty high on him. And Felix Sandstrom has been a kind of guy who's let in just one goal too many here and there, but he's also had some good moments. So we're going to look at young goaltenders the rest of the way, that's for sure.
And Sandstrom and Ersson were in because, Ersson was in for Sandstrom because Sandstrom was sick before the holiday break, a non-COVID illness. So the question would be, how do you expect, if Hart is out for a long time here, how do you think he's going to handle the goaltending situation between those two?
Yeah, I think they'd probably split. I do know that Torts is really interested in Ersson because he had a great training camp. He was the Flyers' best goalie in training camp, and I think he opened a lot of eyes. He played pretty well for the Phantoms and extended duty down there since. So I think they really want to see what they have in him. They don't know for sure because he didn't play much last year, was out injured most of the year, but has played well this year. So they want to see him, and Sandstrom deserves a look too. I mean, Felix is he's taken the long road. He's had his injury issues over the years, and he's finally been healthy this year outside of the illness, and had a little minor injury at the start of the year. But they want to see what they have in both of these guys, and moving forward, you have to see which one, if either, you're going to carry with you. So that's really what the rest of this year is all about for all the players. For John Tortorella to see who he thinks is going to be part of the program as they move forward.
What do you think Tortorella thinks now? He's 35 games in. He had a training camp, obviously. What do you think he feels of the hand he's been dealt with this group? Obviously, they don't have – Konecny's been pretty good. They have some decent pieces, but they don't kind of have that foundation piece at this point, you would think.
No, really what happened is when he took the job, the thought was that John Couturier was going to be playing. Cam Atkinson was going to be playing. There was even some hope early in the summer that Ryan Ellis would be playing. And obviously, none of those three have played at all. So that really changed, I think, the outlook. When you take two top six, really top line forwards and a top pair defenseman out of any team's mix, you're really changing the outlook for the team. So once that happened, I think that Torts, and he talked about it really from almost the start of training camp, or at least the start of the season, that, the team's going to struggle to score. They're missing some key components, and they've also, of course, gone without James Van Riemsdyk for 20 games, Travis Konecny for 6 games. They've had other injuries, too, as all teams do. But those three missing for the whole season to this point, Sean Couturier may come back at some point. The other two are not. It changed the whole, I think, the approach. I think they probably could have contended for a playoff spot if they had those three and everything else was, the team was relatively healthy. But without them, it's been tough to score. And he understands it. It's all about the long term now and seeing what these young guys have. Some of the young players are going to play because those guys are missing and have been playing. And they're getting good experience. But when young players get good experience, mistakes are made, and that certainly happened from time to time. But we are starting to see here, I think over the last 2 to 3 weeks, some development from the likes of Morgan Frost and Owen Tippett. Noah Cates has been pretty much the same from the beginning. He's been pretty impressive. And obviously Cam York's now back up and part of the equation. And then there's some guys down with the Phantoms that we may see at some point, Denoye and Adams and players like that. I'm not sure about Forster coming up this year, but there are some players down there. And there's also players in Europe, and there's Cutter Gauthier for next year. So there are some pieces coming, Kevin, but right now for Torts, the people that are here, it's about, which ones are going to show him that they are worthy of being part of this moving forward, and that includes the veterans.
I know you mentioned Morgan Frost there and what he's been able to do and kind of trying to get things going for him. What do you think has been the biggest piece of getting him going and finding his footing right now?
Well, confidence in any sport is a huge thing, and he's finally getting some confidence. And there's really two things with Morgan. It is that confidence, because I'm seeing him try to make plays, try to show some of the skill that he has. We see it in practice. Haven't seen it as much in games until recently. Certainly saw it in his earlier stops in his career at lower levels. So we're starting to see him try to be creative and make plays. And the second thing is moving his feet. He's got to continually move his feet. When he gets into that slowing things down, waiting for the player to come behind, I think that gets him into trouble. When he gets moving his feet, everything else in his game seems to be quick as well. And it seems like when he has confidence, he's moving his feet, so maybe they go hand in hand. But those are the two things that come to mind. And certainly, Lady's done that. He's still going to make mistakes. He's still a young player. He's still an offensive-minded player. But we have seen certainly in streaks and I think in increasingly frequent little glimpses here over the last 2 or 3 weeks why he was a first-round pick, why he is a top prospect. And for a while, we weren't seeing enough of it, but we certainly have been lately, and that's a positive sign.
Jim Jackson joins us on the Comcast Business Hotline. Jim, we've seen Tortorella this year a couple times. One with Kevin Hayes, a game with Travis Konechny, game with Tony DeAngelo, where he sat guys down. And we've seen Konechny kind of look like he handled it fairly well, and Hayes was pretty upset about it. With the veterans, and you talked about kind of, he's willing to raise, kind of hold guys to a standard. Some guys are going to stay here and be happy with it, and others aren't. I mean, how do you think this little mechanics within this locker room is going to work out if Torts keeps doing this?
Well, I mean, it's all about accountability, which we've talked about. People have talked about over the last couple of years. There not being enough of it here. There certainly is that with Torts. That's not to say that all players can live in that kind of realm. So the ones that can't will somehow be weeded out. Now, I'm not saying that Kevin Hayes is one that can't.
Right.
Obviously, there have been bumps in the road to this point.
But the contract makes it difficult if you wanted to weed him out, correct?
Yeah, well, weeding him out would be difficult from the standpoint of he has a no move, and his contract is tough to move anyhow. So, how do you weed him out if you're going to? But I don't know as if we're to that. I don't think we're to that stage yet. Kevin is a guy who really wants to win. It's just that he has been a pretty offensive-minded player through his career, and John Tortorella will never bend on the fact that you can be as creative as you want offensively, but you better bust your butt, and you better do stops and starts, and you better be responsible defensively. It's not that he does it at the expense of offense, but it's a demand of his. There's no really gray area there. You have to be able to do that. And Travis Konechny is a perfect example. TK makes mistakes. He makes mistakes at the expense of defense once in a while.
Right.
But John Tortorella loves him. Why? Because his mistakes are made out of aggression. They're made out of trying to make plays. They're not made out of laziness. They're not made out of just bad habits. They're not made out of not being trying defensively. So he will. John Tortorella isn't one of these guys that says, "Well, if you're going to always try offense over defense, I'm never going to play you." He wants the players to be creative, and I think Travis Konechny is a perfect example. He's having his best year under John Tortorella. I mean, points per game wise, it's easily his best year so far, and from the eye test, I would say it's the best I've seen him play. So, if a player like Travis Konechny, who's a high-risk player, can thrive under John Tortorella, if a player like Artemi Panarin can thrive under John Tortorella, who's one of his favorite players.
Right.
He's not a defensive-first player. He's but he's a guy that when he was playing for Torts did what Torts asked him to do. And Travis Konecny's doing the same. Then any other player can probably do that too. So it's just a matter of getting players who are offensively minded to at least mind their P's and Q's defensively. And if you're able to do that, you can thrive under John Tortorella. I mean, Zach Werenski's another one, defenseman for Columbus, who is certainly an offensive-minded defenseman. They had their ups and downs along the way, but in the end, I talked to Zach before he got injured this year, and he couldn't have been more glowing in his praise and what John Tortorella meant to him in terms of developing him as a player. So it can happen, and but it's not something that necessarily happens overnight. So we'll see where it goes with Kevin Hayes, with Travis Konecny. It through some turbulence early, and there may be more turbulence along the line. His work, Tony DeAngelo's a player who is another case where John Tortorella likes him.
Right.
Used him a lot early in the year, but then maybe he was overused and he got a little banged up, and then he had obviously a death in his family, and a lot of things going on, and his play kind of took a step back. But the last couple of games, Tony's looked really good, so he looks like he might be on the rebound, and he's another offensive-minded player that John Tortorella puts out there a lot. So it's not like you can't play for John Tortorella if you're an offensively gifted player. You can, and you can succeed.
Jumping to Travis Konecny, because I think what you said about this, eye test wise, at least points per game for him in terms of just what he's been able to do, probably his best season. When you look at some of the building blocks, some of the guys that have really taken to John Tortorella early in this season, obviously still over half a season to go, where do you see those building blocks right now for the Flyers through 35 games?
And that obviously leads to the question of, at some point, you're going to have people who say start tanking for Connor Bedard, especially if Carter Hart's out.
Well, yeah, I mean, tanking is the NHL is. I mean, the Flyers are a case in point where if you get the second overall pick, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to end up with a stud. Nolan Patrick didn't work out too well, did it? And the Buffalo Sabres have been picking in the top 5, top 10, top 1 for years and years and years. And just now, after 11 straight years of missing the playoffs, they're starting to show some improvement. So no guarantee. Connor Bedard, I want to say this. I've heard it probably over the last 15 years, 8 or 9 of the years. Generational talent available in the draft. And then the draft comes and you start seeing the warts and then they don't become generational players. So Connor Bedard I just watched him yesterday. He has some things to work out in his game too. Tremendously talented kid, but he's no guarantee to turn a franchise around. So when you get into tanking, it's dicey. Plus, of course, in the NHL, there's a lottery, and you might finish with the worst record and not get the first overall pick. So,
plus, there's a lot of teams that seem to be doing it anyway on their own, like the Blackhawks at this point. So
yeah, well, the Hawks have just decided to completely rebuild,
right?
Turn it, and the Flyers, by injury, in a lot of ways, are in a position where they're going to end up with a high draft pick too. But they'll probably be, if they're not in the playoffs, they're in the lottery. So we'll see what happens there. But tanking, I just can't imagine John Tortorella team tanking. So they're losing a lot on their own because they've been so banged up and they're so young and they just don't have that offensive talent right now. But to the question, as far as foundational building blocks, I mean, Owen Tippett's a guy I really want to watch the rest of this year. We've already talked about Frost. Noah Gates is a guy. Cam York, certainly a guy you really want to watch as you move along. They have young goaltenders. Travis Konecny's only 25. It's not like he's old. So there are some good young players here. And as I said before, more on the way. And some will get here this year, I think most in the future. But and so there's going to be players you really want to watch and see how they develop here in the second half of the year. And you can be sure that John Tortorella is certainly watching them.
Jim Jackson, who will be heading California dreaming in about 48 hours here as the Flyers start their 3 games. Yeah, you have never spent New Year's Eve at home, have you?
Well, not until the pandemic, but
yeah, well, that's true.
There was one other year where everyone was afraid of travel. This shows my age, but Y2K, Kevin, remember that?
I remember that.
And,
there was also, I guess,
everybody's afraid to have people in the air. They thought there might be some kind of glitch or something because going to 2000. You remember all that?
I remember that. I also remember the Winter Classic year, too. That, I guess, would have been a year where you would have been home.
The Winter Classic, we actually were on the road between Christmas and New Year's and came back New Year's Eve, the day before New Year's Eve, I guess, for the alumni game, and then had the Winter Classic. There have been occasional ones, but yeah, you're right. The usual tradition is for the Flyers to be out west for a long trip. This one really isn't that long. They play 2 road games before the Christmas break, but now just 3 games out west and then back home.
JJ, Happy New Year, man, and I'll be talking to you soon.
Same to you guys. Enjoy the rest of the Philly sports vibe, which is certainly positive. It's been sort of tough not to be part of that with the Flyers, but hopefully they're building to something in the future.
Exactly. Jim Jackson, thanks a lot for joining us.
See you guys.
Jim Jackson joins us on the Comcast Business Hotline. As my phone, there you go. Finally, Comcast Business. Every day is business is a big day. Let Comcast Business keep you ready for what's next. So thanks to Jim Jackson for joining us. Yeah, the Flyers are the one team out of this party right now. That and it's such a diehard fan base that you want to see it happen, but it's a long way. It really is. And your question about the foundation pieces is right on. Who are they?
That's what this season is. I mean, that's what it feels like at this point is foundation, figure out who's here to be here, who John Tortorella really takes to, and who wants to be a part of this and who can be a part of this. That's what this season to me is. You're not getting much out of it, and it's kind of incredible how many teams are so bad right now where the whole bad for Bedard thing, you have to outdo a number of teams in terms of losing to get to where you want to be.
And the thing Jim mentioned is right. With the lottery, the Flyers have picked high. Obviously, the Nolan Patrick pick is the one that stands out. The Flyers have picked high or finished in a relatively good spot high with lottery odds and not had the number 1 pick. There's a lot of teams right now that have just mailed it in. But if Hart's going to be out, and Hart has been the one reason, Hart and Konechny are the reasons you've watched this team at all this year. And they're kind of interesting enough to be not blown out every night, but they're not good enough to win. Then I don't know if you can help but fall back in a hurry.
If you don't trust the goaltending of this team right now, this defense isn't doing enough for you to feel comfortable with them remaining in games.
Yeah,
point blank. Like that. Like if you don't have Carter Hart and you don't feel comfortable with your goaltending, it's going to be a long couple of weeks.
And I think what's made it worse is the fact that the organization has kind of tried to duct tape it together a little. Like they've never come out and fully said what the Sixers did. We're tearing it to the studs and here we go and we're going to, trust the process, all that. Flyers never will do that because the Flyers want to keep that building sold and nobody's going anyway. I don't get it. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean, it's the branding of it is just weird. The way the conversation's gone around, what they're doing this season is strange. I, for one, have not enjoyed it. Of what? Not a rebuild. We're trying to work some things out here. It's a rebuild. Just call it what it is, assess it what it is, and prepare like it is. Because just throwing pieces together to try and put something on the ice that doesn't look like the worst team in hockey will put you in a position where you're not the worst team in hockey every year, but mediocrity and just below mediocrity isn't going to cut it. And that's where you get stuck if you don't actually acknowledge the problem you have.
610-632-0975. Still a lot of topics on the table. You got the Eagles as they get ready for the Saints this week. The question about whether Jalen Hurts and whether Jalen Hurts should play with Lane Johnson now out for the remainder of the regular season. Do you protect your star quarterback and try to make sure he's ready for the playoffs, or do you send him out there if he's ready to go on Saturday to clinch the number 1 seed against the New Orleans Saints? It's an interesting dynamic. The Sixers are on the table. They play at Washington tonight. You will hear that on 97.5 The Fanatic, starting at 7 o'clock. And Devon Givens will be along with the pregame show as well and lead you up to that. Devon's doing 2 to 6:50, correct, tonight?
Yes, and then you'll have your wraparound with postgame for 6.
Postgame.
Yeah.
So Devon's here basically the rest of the day.
Oh, yeah. Devon works hard.
He does.
Devon's hours are
crazy.
Are fun.
Yeah.
He's got some crazy hours.
So Devon will be in here at 2 o'clock and in for the best show ever, guys. And also our question. on the jerseys. We're having our jersey draft. You're trying to draft the jersey of a Philadelphia player that you think is going to be around for a long time. Ray and I will go over who has been picked when we come back. But Ray first has the update. It is 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Injuries over the holiday. Ray Dunne, and this update is brought to you by NJ Transit. The New Jersey Transit Police Department reminds you that we all need to work together to keep our transit system safe. Report suspicious activity to 1-888-TIPS-NJT or text your report to NJTPD. The Eagles updated us yesterday on a number of injuries following their 40-34 loss to the Cowboys on Christmas Eve. Lane Johnson will miss the rest of the regular season with a torn tendon in his abdomen. Avonte Maddox is out indefinitely with a serious toe injury, and starting quarterback Jalen Hurts' status is still up in the air as he tries to manage through the pain of a shoulder sprain. The Eagles face the Saints at 1 o'clock on New Year's Day, trying to lock up the number 1 seed in the NFC and the NFC East crown. The Sixers are going for their 9th straight win tonight against the Wizards following a big Christmas Day victory over the Knicks. You can catch that game right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Keep it locked right here for all the latest news and information. I'm Ray Dunne for 97.5 The Fanatic.
It's the Anthony Gargano Show on 97.5 The Fanatic.
There is no doubt about it. Philadelphia sports fans bleed for their teams, and they bleed for each other, too. Every time they donate plasma at CSL Plasma Donation Centers. In fact, thousands of Philadelphia area residents have helped people they don't even know by donating plasma at a CSL Plasma Donation Center. Your plasma donations have helped create therapies for patients living with rare and serious diseases and have enabled us to provide medicines and vaccines to people in over 100 countries around the world. Interested in other ways you can partner with CSL to improve patients' quality of life? Ask about participating in one of our clinical trials or learn more at cslbearingtrials.com. We're proud to be part of this community, proud of our hometown teams, and the people who rally around them and each other. We look forward to meeting you and thanking you in person at events around the city. For all that you do, Philadelphia, we thank you, because together, we're saving lives.
What if I told you there was a way to step into another gear for your brain and be much sharper, more focused, and improve your memory to a level that you could only dream about and notice these results in 30 minutes? Hard to believe? Neuroscientists are calling this new brain discovery the biggest advancement in brain science to date. It's called Limitless, the brain pill of the future. Take it, and within 30 minutes, you'll transport your mind to a new level of focus and clarity you would have never thought possible.
I took Limitless, and it started working in minutes. All of a sudden, it felt like a dark cloud had been lifted up right before my eyes. I have a mental clarity I've never felt before.
Biz execs, athletes, teachers, and students are calling Limitless a secret weapon for the brain. You have nothing to lose, so call now and find out how to get a free bottle today.
To find out how to get your free bottle of Limitless, call 800-605-7935. That's 800-605-7935. Get your free bottle for a limited time. Call now. 800-605-7935. 800-605-7935.
This holiday, give the gift of beauty and well-being with BAM Aesthetics. Located in Bluebell, BAM offers cutting-edge procedures and custom treatments that are clinically proven. Treatments for your specific needs, like Botox, fillers, hydrofacials, laser hair removal, and much more. BAM even specializes in aesthetic care for men who are interested in looking their best. Get 15% off any gift card you purchase through January 2nd using promo code FANATIC. Go to BAMaesthetics.com and give the gift of beauty and well-being today.
So I switched to Boost Mobile and got this free Samsung Galaxy A23 5G phone.
Why do you think they call it the Galaxy?
Maybe because the Samsung Galaxy A23 has a huge screen, and galaxies are huge gravitationally bound systems of stars rotating around a supermassive black hole.
And the phone is free?
When you switch to Boost Mobile.
Cool. You lost me at gravitationally bound.
Switch to Boost and get a free Samsung Galaxy A23 5G phone. Boost Mobile. Unleash your power. Limited time offer while supplies last. New customers only. Excludes tax. One device offer per line. Only available on certain networks. 5G not available everywhere. Additional restrictions apply. See your local Boost Mobile store for details.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. When I set out to build our firm, it was built for greatness. It was built for you. For over 35 years, my mission has been to deliver more for our clients, to deliver more for you. Today, Morgan & Morgan has more offices, more staff, and more lawyers than any other injury firm in the world. If you or anyone in your family has been injured, call America's largest injury law firm. Call Morgan & Morgan. For the people.com. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Fanatic fan favorites.
Wish you could finally relieve sore muscles? Want to decrease tightness and increase your flexibility and range of motion? You can. Start off the new year by booking your free 30-minute stretch session today at StretchZone.com. Your body will thank you.
Fanatic fan favorites on 97.5 The Fanatic.
O'Reilly. Protect your vehicle's engine with Syntec and O'Reilly Auto Parts. Syntec Premium Full Synthetic Motor Oil is formulated for today's engines to dissipate heat and reduce friction and wear. Right now, get 5 quarts of Syntec Full Synthetic and a MicroGuard Select Oil Filter for just $33.99. Try Syntec today, exclusively at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to start getting conversational in another language? In as little as 3 weeks, Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
Every driver needs a car, and this is the month to get yours. Gateway Kia connects you with the hottest new Kia models. The best selection, all ready for immediate delivery. Gateway Kia has new Kia Souls below MSRP. Or choose a Telluride, Sorento, or Forte. And find the best price on a huge selection of quality pre-owned vehicles. At Gateway Kia in Warrington, Quakertown, or online at shopgatewaykia.com. Hope to see you at Gateway Kia.
More of the Anthony Gargano Show now
on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Welcome back. The 12 o'clock hour here of the midday show is brought to you by Service First Heating and Air Conditioning. Get 0% financing on 72 months and a $500 rebate when you purchase a complete heating and cooling system from Service First. Learn more at servicefirsthvac.com. Thanks to Jim Jackson for joining us here at the noon hour. Connor Orr from Sports Illustrated will join us at 1 o'clock to talk a little Shane Steichen as a leading candidate to be a head coach in the NFL, and also some other NFL tidbits. Ray and I were going over a list we're going to reveal after that interview of where Shane Steichen could end up. There's a lot of coaching vacancies already open, but I'm not sure there's going to be a lot once the season's over as we go forward.
There's not a lot of obvious openings that await. Like, there's not a lot where I'm like, that's definitely going to happen. I think there's one more that appears obvious to me that'll open up. We'll get to that. But to me, it's going to be, unless we get the surprise. There's always the surprise. Mm-hmm. Someone decides, you know what? The heck with it. I don't like the way things are trending, or this year didn't feel right for me. Let's move on. But it doesn't seem like there's going to be a ton of openings.
No.
So it'd be very impressive if the Eagles lose both coordinators.
Yeah, it would be a testament to their ability to find quality coaches if they could get both coordinators. I think one is more likely than the other at this point. I think that's a given. I think Steichen is the hotter name at this point than Jonathan Gannon. One, because offense is more in demand than defense in this league, and that's just the way it is anymore. But to me, I would say Steichen is the guy who's more likely to go because of the job he did with Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I think given how offensive driven this team is, or this league is, that he would be the hotter name. But I don't think it's by much, just because it was weird a year ago to see Gannon get as much love as he did. And after this season, I would imagine that they take a look at the culture this team has. They take a look at overall the body of work defensively. And I think there's someone out there that's ready to get Jonathan Gannon within their four walls.
610-632-0975 is the phone number to give us a call. Talk about the Eagles and the Saints, about whether you would play Jalen Hurts this week. If you want to vent on Jonathan Gannon, please feel free to call. I'm sure both of us will basically say the same thing, which is Jonathan Gannon's done a good job, but there are still things that he needs to get wrapped up.
Maybe making an adjustment.
Yeah, one of the beat guys just tweeted, actually, Jonathan Gannon, speaking of which, would not say if Gardner Johnson will play nickel when he returns, but they love versatile players. In other words, he said nothing. If C.J. Gardner Johnson returns, which I would imagine he would at some point in the playoffs here, you have to consider moving him to nickel. You have to have him more, because Blankenship gives you Blankenship gives you that option where you're better off having him back there, Gardner Johnson in a nickel spot, and not have to worry about Scott coming in and being burned time after time.
1,000%. And when you acquired C.J. Gardner Johnson from the Saints, the conversation was,
he's a nickel.
You're helping your safety depth, but he's been more a slot corner than anything else. What is he going to be able to do? And hey, he answered the bell on that one fine, and he's going to get himself some money for what he's been able to do. But now getting a chance to put him in the slot, given what you've seen from Reed Blankenship, is a nice luxury to have, and I would be surprised. I mean, hey, listen, Jonathan Gannon's with them every day. Maybe he makes a different decision, but I'd be really surprised if they say, Josiah Scott, you roll. Reed Blankenship, you enjoy sitting on that bench. We'll let you know if we need you because C.J. Gardner Johnson's back. We're going to play him at safety. I'd be really surprised if that was the decision they go with.
I wonder if there's going to be a temptation for Gardner Johnson to push the envelope a little bit this week, given it is his former team and wanting to play this week. And that's, again, where the organization has to be cautious, just like we're talking about with Hurts. Got to be cautious because of the bigger picture than just having the guy come back to play his former team.
Speaking of Hurts, you want to take a look at the poll results so far?
Sure. The poll,
yes,
which is brought to you by Marvin E. Cans Heating and Air Conditioning. Marvin E. Cans Heating and Air Conditioning is open and able to assist you with any emergency service and replacement needs, including installation of air scrubbers and other air quality product. Visit Marvin E. Cans, KANZE.com.
All right, the poll for today, given the Lane Johnson injury and the uncertainty of Jalen Hurts' health, do you feel comfortable with Hurts playing against the Saints? Your two options, yes or no. Before I give you the answer, which one do you think is winning?
I would say, would you feel comfortable? No, is winning.
Yes is winning.
Really?
59.9% of our 862 votes, which you can go vote at 97.5 The Fanatic on Twitter. 862 votes saying yes, no, with 40.1% of the vote of our 862 votes.
I'm surprised by that. I really am. I think that, people do normally have a little perspective here. And the bigger picture is that what matters for this team. And the bigger picture is you need to get Jalen Hurts ready. I would almost rather sacrifice these two games and even home field advantage than get Jalen Hurts hurt. Because you could have home field advantage. If Jalen Hurts gets hurt against the Saints, it's over at that point.
Yeah, I'm not to that point.
You're not?
No. I think the home field definitely matters. And if you're putting him on the shelf just to put him on the shelf, like I'm waiting before I say that I'm willing to just sit him out entirely. Like I'm not going to rule him out for the season just to rule him out for the season. I'll wait on that because I don't want
the regular season.
Yeah, for the regular season. I don't want to lose home field.
Okay, because you believe that with home field you can have Gardner Minshew and win
potentially
against Dallas and San Francisco.
And I'm also not guaranteed to. And it's the whole: do you play him? Do you not play him? The safety versus the safety of it. Like I'm not going to guarantee he stays healthy when he plays. I'm also not going to guarantee he gets hurt. So I'm not going to sit here and sit him out to avoid that and risk home field. Because what we've all talked about, they have the luxury to go clinch this. This is the luxury they have because of what they've done all season. I'm not throwing away the luxury of having that home field, having to play an extra playoff game because, now you have an extra game where he's getting hit for another game where he's already been beaten up and they're playing on the road. Now your road to the Super Bowl gets a lot more difficult. So I'm not risking home field.
I get it. I would. To be honest, home field's nice, but this team has proven that it will be able to go on the road and win games. Okay? So even though let's say they fell all the way back to a 5 seed, I like them in Tampa Bay. I would like them in Tampa Bay going up against Brady and the Bucs. I know we saw it last year.
Very
but
different
it's a different circumstance. Absolutely. I would I would really like to see that happen. Well, I wouldn't like to see them lose home field, but in that case, I would feel totally comfortable with them at any point. I think they're good enough to win if they're healthy. If they're not healthy, it doesn't matter where they play in my mind.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I'm just looking at...
That's kind of the way I was going with this.
Some of the bigger wins. Obviously, they have the one loss at home against the Commanders, but some of their more impressive wholesale games, the Titans at home, the Cowboys at home, again, Cooper Rush, yeah, we've had this a million times. The Vikings at home earlier in the year. The Packers, they put up 40. Obviously, you don't love the Packers score 33 on you, but they're able to find a way to win that game. I like having the home field. I like having the idea of teams having to come here in January and have to deal with this. One, the environment of the outdoors in January. Two, the environment of 70,000 people just losing their absolute minds all day and going after you. I like the home field advantage of the Eagles.
All right, so the NFL has officially come out with their playoff scenarios for Week 17. The Giants are in with a win to make it. So that would mean that basically there's a good shot Week 18 is not going to mean anything because they play Indianapolis at home in Week 17. And we saw the Colts last night, and they are god-awful. Seriously, we talked about this last week with D. Is there a more embarrassing organization right now than the Indianapolis Colts? Well, except for the
Browns,
the Commanders, I guess, would be.
Probably the Browns, Texans, Commanders right there.
The Commanders, I mean, the Commanders for different reasons.
Right, yeah. If you're talking Browns and Commanders go that way. Texans, probably what they put out on the field.
Yeah, but you know what? They've played actually with like a little bit of a... They've played with a little bit of a purpose the last 4 or 5 weeks. I mean, look, they forced Dallas to the final minute. They forced Kansas City to overtime. They beat Tennessee on the road this week. I mean,
it's wild.
Yeah. So I would Indy just, the Jeff Saturday thing didn't work. And it's pretty clear Jeff Saturday's not going to be the full-time replacement there. And now you're in a spot, you have Nick Foles who, God, I love you, Nick, but it's over. I mean, at this point, where do you go from that? I don't know. I can't imagine there's an organization that feels more like it's a total mess than the Indianapolis Colts at this point. So
Raiders could be fighting you for that one too. Now I'm thinking.
Well, the Broncos.
They've won games. Broncos too. Yeah, it's just bad. A lot of bad teams.
There are a lot of bad teams. All right, so the Giants. The Giants clinch with a win. Tampa Bay clinches with a win. They would clinch the NFC South. The Commanders with a win could get in with a lot of help.
Well, that Giants team, if they clinch with the win, because they believe in the sanctity of the game of football in that organization, and
come on.
Hey, listen,
you're going to go down that road.
Right, listen, they believe in the sanctity of the game of football. Who knows?
Right. Okay, so they got screwed out of a playoff spot. Okay?
Right.
Wouldn't you be upset if it was the other way, if the shoe was on the other foot?
Win more than what, 5-6 games?
If the shoe was on the other foot, you would have been as mad.
No, if my team won 5 or 6 games, should have taken care of business. I'm looking at home before I'm looking on the road.
Okay, so basically, the Panthers or the Saints or the Buccaneers, all of them, whoever misses should say, well, if a team laid down like that, okay, like the Eagles did. And I get the Eagles doing it. I do.
Yeah, the Eagles
but
don't
I
have
also
anything
get
to
the
do for the
Giants'
Giants.
reaction with it completely. You have
The Eagles
a right
don't
to be
know
upset.
anything to the Giants.
You have a right to be upset for the competitive
No,
nature.
we don't know anything for the Giants.
Well, I don't say you owe anything, but you have a right to be upset if you're a Giants. If you're
that's
a
why the
Giants
Giants are
member
going
and
to
a
play
Giants
hard on
fan,
January 8th, no matter what.
Okay, I'm of the opinion that that was a perfectly normal reaction for them. It was.
If they had had a better season where they deserved to be in the postseason, maybe I would understand it. Like I have to look at what my team did before I look at what another team did to get me out of the postseason.
The ironic part was the Eagles traded out that pick anyway.
Yeah. But seriously, it's like, come on, you won 6 games.
Yeah, I get it. I just don't agree. So, all right. So the Eagles, you could give a call, 610-632-0975. You could talk about Eagles Saints. You can vent a little more on 3rd and 30. When does 3rd and 30 go away, though? Like, as far as, like, when is the proper time? No, when is the proper time to let go of 3rd and 30 this week? Is it this afternoon? Is there a point, like a 72-hour rule where you just let it go? And
probably by Thursday.
By Thursday?
Yeah. It's hard to let go of those things, you know? Are you talking about the general people or me?
General people.
Thursday. Me, I've made my peace with it.
I made my peace with it on Sunday morning.
No, after I got off the show yesterday, I was like, I've made my peace with it.
Really?
Then I listened to you in the afternoon. You guys got a lot of calls about 3rd and 30. I was like, well, maybe I haven't.
And look, I get being upset about it. I do. It's a disgrace.
It's unforgivable.
And the 24 for 24 against zones, and
brutal.
Sirianni tried to excuse it again today, and with the not all zones are like, okay, then find one incompletion in there. One.
Yeah. No, they needed to make an adjustment. They just didn't, and that was the frustrating part.
So you could talk about that. We got Sixers tonight against the Wizards on the Fanatic, starting at 7. Sixers trying to make it 9 in a row. Boy, this franchise, the one thing about this Sixer franchise in the Embiid era, they go on these wild streaks. Like they'll win 8, they'll win 9, they'll win 12, and then lose 5 or 6 and look awful. Like, I think that's the part that's maddening about them so much, is that they're inconsistent. They're consistently inconsistent.
Yeah, once you think you know what you know,
you don't know.
You don't know. Which is why right now, this 8-game winning streak, I'm enjoying it. I'm just riding the highs of this winning streak, because I think they're starting, again, this is what I think. So what I think is going to slowly fall apart to me. But what I think is they're slowly starting to find the roles of all these guys. And obviously you have to reincorporate Maxey later this week. Hopefully, I think Friday was the
Friday in New Orleans is when it looks like Maxey's coming back. Which leads to the question, they're going to keep him on a minutes limit, according to what Shams reported. Does that mean off the bench to start here, or do you kind of put him on? And because once you put him back in the lineup, you can't play that card and pull him out of the lineup.
Right. I imagine they'll put him back in the lineup because they'll want to maximize the minutes of those 3 guys learn how to play with one another.
That's possible.
You know, kind of, hey, D'Anthony, this is what it's going to be like for you to come off the bench, find that groove in the game. Tyrese, this is what it's going to be like opening a game with Harden and Embiid, especially because this team, they could be maddening early in games.
But it's easier to have him coming off the bench, Maxey coming off the bench, and kind of having his minutes regulated that way, and then slowly kind of blend him back in. If you put him in the starting lineup right away, and then you have to pull him back, if you feel like the cohesion's not there, and you decide, well, we want to put Meldon in and put Maxey on the bench, that's where it gets difficult. That's where I think you have a problem.
Do you think that there's a scenario this year where Maxey's coming off the bench and Melton's part of your starting 5?
I don't think there is, but I except for this given spot. This is the one given spot where you kind of let him play his way back into the rotation at this point.
Yeah, I was going to say, because in my mind, there is no world in which he is coming off the bench in a regular, normal, injury-free Maxey's coming off the bench.
Right, but he's still not at that point.
Right. I was making sure that you weren't setting up for
No. I'm saying, but the minute you put him back in the starting lineup, you can't pull that back. You can't pull him back and say, okay, we're going to regulate it a little differently. Yeah, we were better with Melton in the starting lineup and all that, which I don't think they are. But once you put him back in it, it's tough to pull that ripcord and bring him back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you're saying now with that. And I'm looking, just in terms of their schedule, what they're going to try. Because January basketball, again, you want to rack up as many wins. It all matters later in the season. But with what they're trying to accomplish, they might have a stretch here where they can kind of toy with things and tinker with things in a stretch where it's not as consequential.
Right. You get New Orleans, you have Oklahoma State, and then you have New Orleans again to start a 3-game homestand.
Yeah, and then Indiana, Chicago, pair of Detroit games, Oklahoma City again. So if there's ever a stretch for you to try and work on things and figure things out and still be able to use the talent on your team to buy you through it, I would imagine that this is probably the right time for them to.
If you were going to give a pecking order on the East right now, who's 1 through 5?
Celtics would definitely be my number 1.
I would agree.
I think you're not looking at right now that conference, and I'm reminded of every day. I live with a Celtics fan. reminded of it constantly.
You live with a Celtics fan?
I do. He's from Boston.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm reminded of it. Celtics number 1. The Bucks and what they've been able to accomplish over the last few years, I probably still have them at number 2.
This is where it gets interesting.
This is where it gets interesting because how much do I buy the Nets? They've won 9 in a row. I'm not trying to undersell them, but buy the sideshow and how it will last over an entire season with that core.
See, that's the thing. It's the whole circus dynamic with Brooklyn that makes me concerned.
Right.
But it also, you look at the talent. If those 3 can play together and those 3 get their act together,
oh boy,
I would put them ahead of Milwaukee.
I don't know if I can get there.
If Chris Middleton especially is a little iffy, yeah, I could get there easily, I think.
All right. I mean, they were close.
I would put the Sixers 4 and I put Cleveland 5.
The shoe.
Right.
Kevin Durant's foot's a little smaller.
A little smaller.
Whole different world we live in.
I would put Sixers 4, Cleveland 5, but I could see the Sixers also moving up ahead of Milwaukee if everything goes well.
So you're fading Milwaukee at this point. You're thinking that it's...
I think Milwaukee eventually will fade out. Yes. I'm not as big on Milwaukee as I am on Boston. I think Boston's...
Oh, yeah. Bad. Well, I don't know how you can watch the early part of this season and what this Boston team's been able to do since things really clicked, I think, last January or so, last February or so for them, and think that there's any team in the East right now that's at their level.
I mean, Middleton with a knee injury, too. For Milwaukee, he missed the Christmas game. If you're missing the Christmas game in the NBA, you're missing a couple because that's how big that is within the landscape of the sport. If Milwaukee is really without Chris Middleton for a long time here, that's where I would have a major feeling that they're in big trouble. I mean, they're counting a lot on like, okay, you got Giannis. Okay, Brook Lopez is decent. Grayson Allen's in their starting lineup. I'm not a big Grayson Allen guy. I don't think their bench depth is that great. I think that they can wear down as the year goes along.
That's fair. Absolutely fair. And again, it's about how much you trust the Nets and how much you buy in. I mean, the Cavs have looked every part of what they wanted when they acquired Donovan Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
See that over an entire season for me before you buy into it. The Nets, the sideshow, I'm still need to see more from them before I buy into it. I have more of a known product in the Bucks, and that's probably why I feel a little bit better about it despite the Middleton injury.
Yeah, and that's fair. They have a ring, and so you go with that. But it also does feel like there's pieces missing.
Yeah. Absolutely. I see where you're coming from on that one. The Bucks have lost 3 in a row. It's not like they've been on a particularly impressive stretch. But right now, I'm hesitant to knock them because I was unfortunately on the wrong side of waiting to believe it when I see it because then I saw it and all right, fine. The Bucks, you got one here.
Sure.
So I'm more on the known commodity with them versus seeing how the Nets progress, how the Cavaliers progress. And we mentioned with the Sixers, every time you think you know.
You don't.
You don't. So, as good as I feel right now, Sixers still 3 games. I mean, it's amazing the conversations we were having 2 weeks ago with this team at 12-12 for them to be 3 games out.
Oh, and we're still going to have them at some point
100%.
Here. Because the head coach is still a lightning bolt.
Yeah.
He has a lightning rod for every complaint that people have about this team. The head coach is the prime guy. And he will be that way until they either win a title or make that deep run to the finals. I'm not even sure if they get to the East Finals, it would be enough to take the criticism off Doc. Or until he's gone.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the conference finals don't do enough for him. This team was built, and the idea of it was built on going to the finals and winning the finals.
By the way, we talked about things earlier that annoy you. And this is something in this town especially. When we talk about multiple championships, plural.
Let's get one.
Win the one. Win the first one. It's almost like you jinx. I know the normal occupant of this seat middays and Cuz talks about upsetting the sports gods.
Yes.
You don't taunt and upset and tease the sports gods. When you talk multiple championships before you've won the first, that upsets the sports gods. Absolutely, 100%. Think of how everybody thought the Flyers would win cup after cup after cup with Eric Lindros. The Phillies would win World Series after World Series after they won the first one.
We're going to go down this Broad Street parade again and again.
It is the absolute kiss of death.
This is your new normal, Philadelphia, whatever Doug Peterson said after the one.
Yeah, and if Alshon Jeffrey does catch that pass.
Oh, that's my favorite hypothetical. I'm so ready for Nick Foles to go back to back.
Because they beat the Rams.
Yes. 1,000% they beat the Rams.
Nick Foles goes back to back.
He goes back to back. And then what do you do?
Put 2 statues up of Nick.
What do you do?
By the way, I think the statue was bad mojo.
That was bad mojo?
That was bad mojo.
I liked it.
They don't have a statue to Chet Bednarik in that place, and they put a statue up before everything has happened. With, by the way, your starting quarterback scheduled to come back that year. That was bad mojo right away.
Hey, we saw the one, and the Eagles got their one. And that for so many people was like the euphoric moment that they just did everything they could.
Oh, I cried.
To build that one. Yo, yeah, absolutely.
I cried.
Incredible moment.
I cried. I thought about my dad who had passed away, who said, "They're never winning a Super Bowl in my lifetime." He was right. But I thought of him, and you thought of everybody,
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Ryan, we also assumed the Sixers are going to win a title if Kawhi didn't hit the quadruple doink. Yeah, you know what? I kind of agree with that one.
I firmly believe 2019 was your best shot.
Yeah,
with
so Jimmy and because then you got a little freaky with the way that the roster went. So
missed chances.
I mean, do a whole book on missed chances in this city.
Well, there you go. That's good. We'll workshop that one in the break between the two of us. I like that idea for a book.
Coming up,
you heard our book idea.
Our
first,
book idea. We're gonna get going on that. Coming up when we come back, Connor Orr from SI.com will join us. We'll talk about a story on Shane Steichen, and we'll also talk about some of the other NFL news going on. That is after Ray with the update and the break. This is 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A holiday hurting. I'm Ray Dunne, and this update is brought to you by Wawa. Free Coffee Tuesday for Wawa Rewards members are back. Every Tuesday, Wawa Rewards members get a free any size coffee. Gotta have a Wawa. The Eagles, updated us on a number of injuries on Monday following their Christmas Eve loss to the Cowboys. Lane Johnson is going to miss the rest of the regular season with a torn tendon in his abdomen, but there is optimism. He may be back for the postseason. Avonte Maddox is out indefinitely with a serious toe injury, and your starting quarterback, Jalen Hurts, has his status still up in the air as he tries to manage the pain of a shoulder sprain. The Eagles, trying to lock up the number 1 seed in the NFC and the NFC's crown, face the Saints at 1 o'clock on New Year's Day. The Sixers are going for their 9th straight win tonight against the Wizards following a big Christmas Day victory over the Knicks. You can catch that game here on 97.5 The Fanatic. This update is also brought to you by CNC Heating and Air Conditioning. Family owned for 50 years. You'll see why homeowners trust CNC Heating and Cooling for their family's comfort. Visit cc-hvac.com. Keep it locked right here for all the latest news and information. I'm Ray Dunne for 97.5 The Fanatic.
Anthony Gargano, weekdays 10 to 2 on 97.5 The Fanatic.
To me, the most important word in the world is dignity. There are certain God-given rights to be fed, to have shelter, medicine, and clothing. When many of our clients come to us, they face the great risk of losing much of what they have. In some cases, losing everything. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. In one instant, an accident, a natural disaster, or the intentional acts of others can threaten our dignity. Whether it's the loss of a paycheck, paying medical bills, enduring a life of pain and suffering, or a claim with your own insurance company, or a business dispute, and you can't afford to pay a lawyer by the hour, your dignity hangs in the balance. You only pay us if we recover for you. Let my firm fight for you, your family, and your dignity. Call us for a free consultation. Dial pound law on your cell phone. That's pound 529. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
Hey guys, Bob Cooney here. Start NFL Week 17 off with the NFL Same Game Parlay Insurance from FanDuel in partnership with Valley Forge. Whether you're new to FanDuel or not, get free bets if your 4-leg plus Thursday night parlay falls 1 leg short. Same game parlays combine bets for a chance at an even bigger payday. Is Derrick Henry going to have you a huge game? Maybe. Maybe Dak Prescott gets you some touchdowns. Whatever you like. Go for it. Build yours or choose from the popular pre-built same-game parlays built for you in FanDuel's top-rated sportsbook app. However you play, bet the NFL on Thursday night with a same-game parlay. Just sign up with promo code BOB if you don't already have an account. That's promo code BOB. If you have an account, you're all set. Just sign up to see what you got. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NFL.
21 plus and present in PA. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Max free bet $25. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Ad paid for by Anthem Tax Services. $80 billion approved for the IRS to beef up their efforts to pursue those that owe. Are you tired of the IRS letters, levies, liens, or wage garnishments? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes to the IRS, you need Anthem Tax Services. 30-plus years of experienced, top-rated tax professionals with over $500 million in represented tax liabilities and licensed in all 50 states. We are A-plus rated on the BBB and #1 choice on Money.com. Due to the financial hardships in the country, the IRS is making it easier than ever to settle your tax. Anthem Tax Services will find the program that is right for you, like the Fresh Start initiative that can drastically reduce your tax debt. We can help settle delinquent tax problems, end all collections, and may even reduce back taxes by up to 99%. Call Anthem Tax Services at 800-217-5312 for a free no-obligation tax analysis, personal or business. Stop your tax problems from getting worse. Call Anthem Tax today, 800-217-5312, 800-217-5312, or anthemtaxservices.com.
Hey guys, are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of the pills? There's a major medical advancement that has helped thousands of men and is now available in Philadelphia. Oak Hills Medical Clinic uses WAVE technology, backed by 50 clinical studies, including from Cambridge University. It's been shown to increase blood flow by repairing blood vessels. No pills and no side effects. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED, call now to schedule a completely free and confidential assessment. You will receive a free blood flow ultrasound and get something unique that produces powerful results in the bedroom in just minutes. This unprecedented offer is worth $600, but is free to those that call in the next 2 minutes. 215-302-9999. That's 215-302-9999. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your love life back. Call Oak Hills Medical Clinic of Philadelphia now to schedule your completely confidential appointment. 215-302-9999.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to start getting conversational in another language? In as little as 3 weeks, Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas?
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
I know a lot of you really want the State Farm Personal Price Plan, but what's with the oversharing? Like this message Brian left me.
Hey, Jake from State Farm. I love the smell of my cat's breath. Yeah.
You don't need to get that personal. The State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you create an affordable price just for you. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or go to statefarm.com for a quote today.
Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
97.5 The Fanatic is on a Philadelphia Flyers ticket tour presented by Coors Light. Win Flyers swag and tickets every 20 minutes, including premium seats in the Coors Light Flyers Chill Zone. Only a few more chances left. Don't miss out. Join the Fanatic at Maggie's Waterfront Cafe, 9242 North Delaware Avenue, Philadelphia, this Saturday, New Year's Eve from 2 to 3 p.m. You must be 21 to win. For details, visit the events page on 97.5thefanatic.com. Coors Light, fueled by Philadelphia.
WPEN Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station, home of the most entertaining sports talk in Philadelphia. 97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia.
97.5 The Fanatic. Was that cuss?
Ray.
What is Cuz doing these days, you think, on his days off? You know, he probably has the kids out.
I'd like to think he's got a nice bottle of gin and he's enjoying a little time off.
A little college football?
Definitely a little college football. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe at 11:10 I like to think that 11:10 every day, he breaks out like a vault, and he's got like he watches like old highlights, just for the pure fact of
I got to ask this, and when Anthony comes back, I want him to. Anthony, honestly, text me if you're listening. How many times has he watched the Super Bowl? Do you think?
Well, that's a good question.
How many times on your DVR has he watched it?
It's a great question.
Should set an over/under on that. We should. So, Connor Orr is going to be joining us here in a few minutes from SI.com. Talk about his story on Shane Steichen and how he is going to be the hot coaching commodity, one of the hot coaching commodities here as we get towards silly season. We're less than 2 weeks, the Black Monday for head coaches.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I know. It's strange. Like, I've covered a couple Black Mondays. I covered Andy's Black Monday. That was interesting because everybody
Somber
knew.
Tymes.
What?
I would imagine around just
they tried to paint it as a happy, like, we're Andy's been here and he's graduating to something else, and the fact that Andy like a week later had a job in Kansas City made it really awkward. But yeah, I mean, Black Monday's different because it's almost like you're waiting for the axe to fall. It's almost like when I covered the baseball beat, that last day of the regular season when you found out what coaches, not the managers, but what coaches were not coming back was not a cool moment because you get to know these people and you get a lot of cases you respect them. Not everyone, but a lot of cases you respect. What are you smiling?
You said not everyone, like someone popped into your head and you were like,
"Oh, there are a few."
That guy.
There were a few.
I'm sure there were.
I'm not going to name them.
Yeah, I knew you weren't going to name them, but the way I saw you walk through saying that, I was like an image popped into your mind. You're like,
I'll tell you off
coach.
air. There was one guy in particular.
Really?
Oh yeah. There was one guy.
I'm going to get to know something.
Oh, it's
nice.
It's actually when you were probably in grade school, so I shouldn't say that. So,
when do you think I was in grade school? How old do you think I am?
I would say, all right, so I'm going to go, I know the year, okay?
Okay.
It was in the first half of the first decade of the century, so.
First half. Yes.
Okay? You would have been in grade school.
Okay.
Probably second or third grade. How's that? 2005, second or third grade.
Oh. No, I'm younger than that.
Huh?
I'm younger than that.
You're younger than, oh, God.
Yeah. We can move on. 610-632.
How old is Ray? 610-632-0975. As we wait for Connor Orr, hopefully we'll get Connor here shortly. A lot of talk about him being one of those because of the fact that, and Connor Orr, wrote a great story in SI last week. The title of it, I want to make sure I got it, The Cosmic Joy of an Offensive Mystic. And when you look at this offense and what it's been able to do, it's been pretty remarkable in a sense of being able to have multiple parts of it that have worked even this week without Jalen Hurts in the lineup. Everything has really clicked for this offense for the most part this year.
Yeah, and it's been kind of incredible to watch, just talking about the adjustments, the ways to win,
Gotcha.
the way you move in and out of different approaches. One week you can run for 150 yards, the next you can throw for close to 400. It's just an incredibly impressive way of going about things for this team that makes Shane Steichen, most certainly in an offensive-driven league, probably your top commodity. I mean, it's hard to imagine anyone else being at the top of coaches wish lists. As in the 1 o'clock hour, I guess I'll try and remember how to speak.
I know that feeling.
But I'm curious when we get a chance to talk to Connor just about who he believes, where he believes he ranks amongst the who's who of coach wish lists, because you have to think if he's not one, he's two. And if he's the odds-on favorite for me in terms of grabbing a job of anyone right now in the NFL, just because of the success the Eagles have had, just because of what they've been able to figure out with Jalen Hurts, and the fact that he's another one of those young play callers that every owner and every team seems to love.
I'm hoping Connor didn't get caught up. There is a breaking NFL story we should point out that J.J. Watt, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, has announced his retirement. So I'm hoping that Connor, who is one of the senior writers for SI, didn't get drafted into that. But it's possible. Matt, any luck? Nothing yet? All right, so nothing yet. So we're hoping to get Connor. But when we look at the jobs that are going to be available, okay, there are 3 jobs open right now. For a guy who, we should point out, Steichen was with Phillip Rivers at the end of his career in Los Angeles / San Diego. There'll always be the San Diego Chargers to me.
As they should be.
Then he got Justin Herbert, who actually got Justin Herbert ready on like 10 minutes notice for his debut once the Tyrod Taylor case happened. Then he's come here and now he's worked on Jalen Hurts. So you're looking at, he's a fit for a team. The way Connor's story worked or read was he's perfect for a team looking for some quarterback stability. Okay. Well, look at the 3 jobs that are out there now. Carolina would appear to be one that would be in that mix. The problem is, Sam Darnold's not played poorly since Matt Rule has left. There's Steve Wilkes, who's the head coach there now, the interim, has done a decent enough job to get them back. Is that a fit? Is Indianapolis, who will probably be blowing everything up, is that a fit? You're a first-time head coach. Do you necessarily want to have go to that situation right now where Jim Irsay has made it very combustible? And Denver, you're going to be inheriting an old Russell Wilson. It's not exactly a prime spot for a guy trying to get a head coaching job.
To me, just blindly, if I'm Shane Steichen, congratulations to me, I'm now smart. I'm good at this. And now I get to pick between these. I actually don't mind the Colts setup because I look at it similar.
High draft pick?
Yeah, high draft pick. You're probably going to get a reset on the quarterback position. You'll get a chance. You'll at least be given the opportunity to breathe a little bit. Like Nathaniel Hackett, who I think is just an awful, awful coach as a head coach. Didn't get a chance to breathe at all because they had the expectations of Russell Wilson and had the expectations of what came into the season. And I'm not saying that a second year would have done him well, but if you're looking at job security, if they can kind of cut ties with Matt Ryan, you can see maybe what you have in Sam Ehlinger. I'm not suggesting I think Sam Ehlinger is an NFL starting quarterback.
Right.
And you also, the other option there is Nick Foles. Like, you're probably going into the draft looking for a quarterback. You get a quarterback, you get a chance to grow with that quarterback, build that quarterback as you build your roster. I don't hate that setup versus whatever you have left in to try and find a Russell Wilson. And then when you look at the Panthers, I'm so tapped out on having Sam Darnold as a quarterback in this league. Like
I think he's been decent. Obviously, once you got through the PJ Walker, Mayfield kind of fiasco that was most of their season, since Darnold's come in, he's been decent.
Yeah, but when I'm looking, if I'm Shane Steichen looking to try and create the offensive juggernaut I have, Sam Darnold doesn't exactly get me too excited to show up and coach that offense and get rolling with him as my quarterback. Like, if I'm going to Carolina, I'm like, I know what you invested in Sam Darnold, but no thanks. Let me get something a little more exciting, something I can build on a little more.
All right, there were 2 other spots, counting nothing outrageous, being like Josh McDaniels getting fired in Vegas, which I don't think is going to happen. Cleveland is one, Kevin Stefanski, but they have a quarterback, obviously, in Deshaun Watson, that they committed to, whether it was a good move or not. They've committed to him at this point. That's one. And Arizona with Cliff Kingsbury. But again, you're committed there with Kyler Murray because of the contract. So I don't know how great a spot that is for them right now.
Kyler would be interesting. That'd be an interesting one for Arizona.
In fact, joining us now on the Comcast Business Hotline, it is the senior writer for Sports Illustrated. He covers the NFL, and he did a great story. If you get a shot on SI.com to read the story last week on Shane Steichen, it is Connor Orr. Connor, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
you did a really good deep dive. The Cosmic Joy of an Offensive Mystic is the daily cover story from December 21st, if you want to look it up online. You did a deep cover story about Shane Steichen and his relationship. It was fascinating to me, his relationship with a quarterback who, when he took over as his quarterback coach, was older in Phillip Rivers. Can you talk about just his relationship and how he's been able to build it with Rivers and obviously Herbert and now with Justin Hurts?
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts, excuse me.
I think it's interesting, right? Like, a lot of times you'll have an upcoming premier kind of head coaching candidate, and he's associated with one type of quarterback or one quarterback in particular. But with Shane, he's built these relationships with a veteran guy who's older than him, who a brand new rookie first-round pick, and then a guy who was considered by some as sort of kind of a misfit toy or a kind of a budget Russell Wilson type player, whatever you want to call it. And each of these guys comes from vastly different backgrounds, different experiences, has very different skill sets. And with Shane, I think the common thread there has been just an intimate understanding of the game, the fact that all these guys want to succeed and they all want to do cool things on the field, and how to engineer that in a way that can make it happen. And from there, a relationship blooms because, like Phillip Rivers said, if you know that guy is going to do the best thing for you, if you know this guy is working towards something that helps you succeed, then it's easy to fall for him and to kind of get into that relationship.
How hot a name will he be in 2 weeks' time when we get the Black Monday? And obviously, Jonathan Gannon's a name that was out there a lot more. Is Steichen kind of replace Gannon as the Eagles coordinator that is going to draw the most attention here?
Well, I think it just depends on what you're looking for, right? And in terms of how hot of a name is he, I mean, I know for certain that there are teams with openings who have already done, background work on him. I expect him, if there's time, right? I mean, this is good. The only complicating factor with both Gannon and Steichen, I think, is going to be if they get the first round bye and they're flying through the playoffs. Some of those coaches allow their eventual head coaching candidacy to take a back seat, and they focus on the team. Some hiring teams don't want to wait that long. And so we've seen that happen before, where coaches like Robert Saleh comes to mind, right, where he had to wait an extra year to get that head coaching job. That would be the only kind of thought process there of why Shane would get skipped over. But in terms of Shane and Gannon, I think both of them are going to be top-tier candidates this year, and I think there's a possibility they both land jobs.
One of the things that sticks out from this story is just the football junkie attitude of Shane Steichen. Just the extreme attention to detail in just about everything he does. Phillip Rivers raving about it. When you go on that deep dive of looking into Shane Steichen, where do you think that comes from, and how do you think that set him apart from some of the other signal callers in this league?
Well, it's like, it's funny. I mean, you kind of recognize, we're all in kind of these unique careers. I mean, you guys are in radio, I'm in writing, and, it's not like, this typical job where you just kind of get a degree and you fall into it. You had to have a passion for it. And I think that's what was kind of interesting to hear about his backstory, and that, he was going to work in football no matter what. And, some of those people just have that innate drive, that passion, that, hey, this is my dream, and no matter what, it's going to happen. And when you live your life that way, it's really interesting to see how everything kind of falls into place around you. I mean, his friends were saying that he was never not going to be in the NFL, whether that was as a quarterback, as a coach, as something. And you can just see the steps that have materialized in his life from that. It's really kind of an interesting route.
3 jobs are open right now, obviously, Carolina, Indy, and Denver. Which one of them is the most appealing for a guy, looking at a job? And I know it's a head coaching job, so there's 32 of them. Everybody wants one. But, and 2, is there a couple more out there you think we'll hear about on Black Monday?
Yeah, I mean, I've said, all along, right? I think we average 7 a year. And
right.
So you kind of have to flag. I mean, when I talk to people in the industry about this, you flag about 10, right? You flag 10 to 11 jobs a year because you want to build in for all the surprises, the potential retirements. People forget too. We have, 65-year-old Andy Reid, 72-year-old Bill Belichick, 70-year-old Pete Carroll, all these guys who are getting up there. And so when do they decide that they want to just, kind of hang out in France for a year and not deal with NFL football players? There's always that potential. But To get to the beginning of your question, I think Carolina is probably the best opening right now because it's a blank slate of a job, and it's an owner that knows that there's going to be a rebuilding process. Steve Wilkes might hold on to that though, given how well he's been coaching. And gosh, Denver scares the daylights out of me. Right? You're inheriting a GM. You're inheriting a quarterback that is very difficult to work with and didn't run the offense that the last guy tried to design for him. And so, I think that really scares me. In Indy, how can that job not scare you, right? I mean, I think Frank Reich is one of the ultimate good guys in sports, one of the few head coaches, I think, in recent NFL history that's been fired with a winning record and a playoff appearance, Doug Peterson being another one. But, it's, so wouldn't you take that job and kind of worry, like, who's he on the phone with all the time? Is he talking to another ESPN analyst that he's going to fire and or fire me for, So
Ryan Clark on line one, yes.
Yes, Dan Orlovsky. I mean, I don't know. And so, I mean, but listen, I talked to a coach about this the other day, and he said, and it totally makes sense, right? Every owner is weird. Every owner is crazy. Every owner is eccentric. And so that's part of the gig. You deal with it. You take it because there's one of 32, and you make the best of a bad situation. And so I think ultimately that's your thought process.
Would Cleveland and Arizona be the next logical ones to look at here too?
I would have a hard time believing that the Browns are going to shake things up now, especially since they are all kind of complicit in this Deshaun Watson thing. And
right.
I think that they're going to try to keep all of that close to the vest for right now. I mean, I would have a hard time believing that they're going to sell out Stefanski when he put his career on the line to sign off on the Deshaun Watson thing, right? But
right.
Arizona certainly, I think that there's, whether it's even fatigue from the head coaching position, does Cliff want to be there? If they're going to bring in a new GM, does the new GM want someone different? Does Kyler want someone different? Because he's the most powerful person in the organization right now outside of the owner. And so I think those are certainly on the docket. Atlanta, you look at, their coach is going into his third year, which is ultimately the year where you would extend or not extend him in typical head coaching, how that works. And so do you make a move there? New Orleans is interesting. Detroit's interesting. I think that there's kind of these situations that are popping up and bubbling all over the place.
And Sean Payton's the 1,000-pound person in the room, that everybody's going to look at what Sean Payton does and whether that's going to determine maybe the rest of the landscape, correct?
Payton's interesting, right? Because, and this is just my sense, right? But I was talking to a few people about this. If a team was going to hire Sean Payton, I think we would have a fairly good idea that that's going to happen already, because here's the deal. You're going to need to trade at least 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks to get him. That's what the Buccaneers traded for John Gruden. And you're going to have to earmark $100 million because he's going to want about $20 million a year to come there and be your head coach. That's a lot of moving parts. And I think that if a team had already planned on doing something like that, I think we would have a pretty good idea that that's happening. I'm not saying he's going to miss out on this cycle, but I'm not sure that teams are tripping over themselves to do this. It might take a true desperation maneuver to bring him in at this point.
Connor Orr from SI joins us. Connor, you still have the Eagles second in your power rankings after Week 16. Obviously, around here, and you even said you felt if you were the Eagles, you would feel better after the way you played with a backup quarterback in Dallas and all that. But in the last 24 hours with the injury to Lane Johnson, with Avonte Maddox, how much does that shake the foundation of what the Eagles are going into the playoffs if Johnson's not able to come back in time?
Yeah, I'm certainly not going to dismiss the Lane Johnson injury. I mean, the offensive line is the lifeblood of that team. That said, I mean, kind of taking it full circle and going back to Shane Steichen and kind of what they're able to build there, I think that this team is smart enough and versatile enough and deep enough where you can scheme in situations where maybe the tight end's helping on Lane's backup, right? You can scheme in stuff where you're obviously not going to replace Lane Johnson, but you can replace him in the aggregate, right, through other guys who are going to help in that role, assist in the blocking, and maybe it takes a week or two to iron it out, but they built themselves this incredible buffer, and I think that they have some time now to work through it and to get it ready for the playoffs.
Connor Orr from SI.com. Make sure you read him online at SI.com. And his story last week, the stories that make Eagles offensive coordinator Shane Steichen a hot candidate for 2023. Connor, I appreciate you joining us. Have a great rest of the holiday, and hope we can catch up soon.
Yeah, happy holidays to you guys, too. Thank you.
Connor Orr, thanks for joining us here. It just, it's fascinating when you put it when you hear it, that, we all think, okay, well, these jobs are open and everything. And Connor was quick to point out, you have a lot of older coaches. Maybe Andy decides. Maybe Bill Belichick. I don't think Bill Belichick would step aside, but it's possible at his age. Pete Carroll's 70. I'm sure there's a point of Pete Carroll's feeling like he's kind of shown Russell Wilson that he could still work this year with him having a better year with Geno Smith than Russ. It'll be a lot. It's always interesting. It's going to be interesting to see where Steichen and Gannon both fall. And the fact that they're not going to be available necessarily right away is a big deal, too.
Him also thrown in there Detroit.
That's surprising.
That was listening, and he hears things. Detroit, Dan Campbell, the same man that people were trying to argue for Coach of the Year while the Lions were streaking.
Dan Campbell will bite Connor's kneecaps off at this point.
Yeah, I mean, whoa. That was one that called me. He said, really? Yeah. You said Detroit? Yeah, I mean, and I have no choice there but to feel, certain way. If they don't make things happen, I'll be curious. Maybe we will get. He said average is 7.
Yeah.
And you and I have laid out. He dismissed Cleveland, so 4.
Right.
There's always surprises.
More. Yeah. There's always ones that you don't hear coming.
Right. And the idea also, I hope the Cardinals fire Kingsbury before he quits on them.
Well, there's also, I thought Arthur Smith in Atlanta is an interesting case too, because that team's played hard all year. They don't have a lot of talent. They have Marcus Mariota at their quarterback. They played hard all year. So.
Right. Yeah. I don't know how you really set them up to succeed if you give them Mariota and then, hey, all right, let's throw Ritter in there and see what happens. Like
Des Ritter's not good.
That's not the investment you want in the quarterback position if you're going down as a coach.
Connor Orr joined us on the Comcast Business Hotline. Comcast Business. Every day in business is a big day. Let Comcast Business keep you ready for what's next. What's next for us? Ari, on the other side of the break, we'll talk to you. We'll mention a little Phillies. We'll throw that in here on the last segment before we turn it over to Devon. But Ray has the update here on 97.5.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Injuries over the holiday. I'm Ray Dunne. This update is brought to you by Wawa. Free Coffee Tuesday for Wawa Rewards members are back. Every Tuesday, Wawa Rewards members get a free any-size coffee. Gotta have a Wawa. The Eagles updated us on Monday about a number of injuries following their loss to the Cowboys on Christmas Eve. Lane Johnson will miss the rest of the regular season, but there's hope that he can be back for the postseason as he is dealing with a torn tendon in his abdomen. Vontae Maddox is out indefinitely with a serious toe injury, and of course the concern over Jalen Hurts. Well, his status is still up in the air as he tries to manage through a shoulder sprain. The Eagles face the Saints at 1 o'clock on New Year's Day as they try and lock up home field advantage and the NFC East crown. The Sixers are going for their 9th straight win tonight against the Wizards following a big Christmas Day victory over the Knicks. You can catch that game right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Keep it locked right here for all the latest news and information. I'm Ray Dunne for 97.5 The Fanatic.
It's the Cuz, Anthony Gargano. Weekdays 10 to 2 on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Ad paid for by Anthem Tax Services. $80 billion approved for the IRS to beef up their efforts to pursue those that owe. Are you tired of the IRS letters, levies, liens, or wage garnishments? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes to the IRS, you need Anthem Tax Services. 30-plus years of experienced, top-rated tax professionals with over $500 million in represented tax liabilities and licensed in all 50 states. We are A-plus rated on the BBB and #1 choice on Money.com. Due to the financial hardships in the country, the IRS is making it easier than ever to settle your tax. Anthem Tax Services will find the program that is right for you, like the Fresh Start Initiative that can drastically reduce your tax debt. We can help settle delinquent tax problems, end all collections, and may even reduce back taxes by up to 99%. Call Anthem Tax Services at 800-217-5312 for a free no-obligation tax analysis, personal or business. Stop your tax problems from getting worse. Call Anthem Tax today, 800-217-5312, 800-217-5312, or anthemtaxservices.com.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
So right now may be the perfect time for you to rethink how you pay for health care, and here's why. Not only is it open enrollment for a lot of people, it's also a time you can join MediShare and save even more than usual. And it's true, the typical family switching to MediShare saves $500 or more a month, which is obviously huge for a lot of people, but what's more, they like it. MediShare has double the customer satisfaction rate compared to health insurance. There are 400,000 members. They've shared over $4 billion in medical bills, and it really is a great community, too. People encourage and pray for each other. And here's the thing. If you join MediShare Complete right now, they'll waive your new member fees, and you'll save an additional 10% off all of 2023. That's right. No fee to join, 10% off every month of next year, but it's a very limited time offer. You have to sign up before December 31st. Great savings, great health care. Find out more. Call now. 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE. 855-51-BIBLE.
The Philly sports scene is exploding with excitement right now. And the Busch Auto Group is using a winning formula of their own to crush the competition. Not only does the Busch Auto Group's market-based pricing ensure you'll never pay too much for your next pre-owned vehicle, but right now, every pre-owned vehicle purchased at the Busch Auto Group comes with a 1-year maintenance plan. How about that for a Philly special? For full details, visit BuschAutoGroup.com. That's BUSH Autogroup.com today.
Every drive starts somewhere. For First Trust Bank, our drive started in Philadelphia and continues to this day. As Philly's hometown bank for more than 85 years, we know this city's people. We understand their passions, and we work our tails off to help them reach their goals every day. Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank. First Trust Bank, the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. Member FDIC.
Drexel basketball is here. Join fans from across Philly as our men's and women's teams host Division I rivals from around the country, right here on Market Street in the Daskalakis Athletic Center, which we call the DAC. This premier arena is one of the most intimate in the city. Now, we're bringing fans even closer to the action with a new state-of-the-art Jumbotron and a court-shaking audio system designed to make Dragons roar. For tickets, go to drexel.edu/Dragon Tickets. Because game time can't wait.
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your... Oh, hold on. Just got a video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane was as confident as you are texting and driving. Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
So I switched to Boost Mobile and got this free Samsung Galaxy A23 5G phone.
Why do you think they call it the Galaxy?
Maybe because the Samsung Galaxy A23 has a huge screen, and galaxies are huge gravitationally bound systems of stars rotating around a supermassive black hole.
And the phone is free?
When you switch to Boost Mobile.
Cool. You lost me at gravitationally bound.
Switch to Boost and get a free Samsung Galaxy A23 5G phone. Boost Mobile. Unleash your power. Limited time offer while supplies last. New customers only. Excludes tax. One device offer per line. Only available on certain networks. 5G not available everywhere. Additional restrictions apply. See your local Boost Mobile store for details.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language, like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
Hey, it's John Kincaid. The cold weather is here, and if you're worried that your furnace isn't going to cut it this winter, I want you to check out my friends at H&H Heating and Air Conditioning. You can trust H&H for a thorough system checkup now before the temps drop even lower. H&H's $59 gas furnace tune-up includes a carbon monoxide safety check. You'll have home comfort and peace of mind. If you need a new system, H&H has rebates of up to $1,500 or 0% financing for 18 months for qualified buyers. That's DelcoHVAC.com to schedule your $59 tune-up now at DelcoHVAC.com.
Hello?
Whether you're at home or on the go, listen to 97.5 The Fanatic on Odyssey on your smartphone, Roku, LG Smart TV, Waze, and more. That's Odyssey, AUDACY. Check it out now. More of the Anthony Gargano Show now.
On 97.5 The Fanatic.
97.5 The Fanatic, Kevin Cooney, Ray Dunne, Matt and Eric behind the glass, Haley answering the phones, working the YouTube feed. By the way, thank you to all of those on YouTube for keeping us company today.
It's nice instant feedback.
And to being kind about the ugliness of my sweatshirt,
It's nice to be kind. It pays to be kind.
It pays to be kind, people.
The YouTube chat, we've had our differences throughout the time.
You've had differences with the YouTubers?
We did. Now I think we're on good terms. I love the YouTubers. We have a lot of fun with the YouTubers. We did at one point early on. But now I think we're friends. I think we're on great terms, the YouTube and I. We'll see.
You see, the one thing I always got told was never read the comment section.
Yeah, I make that mistake.
Oh, it is the absolute worst. It is the absolute worst that you can have. So we're in for Cousin Tunis. Ray is actually in tomorrow.
That's right.
Solo.
Be here 10 to 2.
And then I'm here 2 to 6
Correct.
for best show ever. And then Ray is hosting.
I love that drop made it over from Center to wide orbit.
That did make it from the old system to the new?
Yeah, that was previous. That was before that was with the old system, right? That was when that was dropped in there during that time frame, and it made it over.
Yeah, but we made sure it was still in there.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
That's when you protect, like, with armed guards to make sure it's, everything is good. And then Ray. And then D and I are back on Friday together. So that's our schedule the rest of the week. Is everybody kind of just takes a pause.
Yeah, nice to get the week between Christmas and New Year's.
And I go back a week from the day to school. Oof. I'm a teacher, by the way.
Do you have the second to relax?
I have the second to relax.
Ah, that's nice.
I have the second to relax. I was originally supposed to do the Sixers game for AP that night, but Dan Gelson, my boss, was kind enough and said, "Hey, I got to take it." That's fine. Hey, be my guest. I think the next game I'll
relax.
I'll get Penn State and Purdue as the next game I think I have for them. It's at the Palestra.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that the one?
That's the Palestra game.
Nice.
So
what day is that?
That's a Sunday night on the 8th. It's the day of Eagles Giants. It's the late game.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's after Eagles Giants. It's like 6 o'clock.
Smart. Oh.
Yeah, it's good planning on them. I better hope it doesn't get flexed to 425 though. Ari Warminster wants to talk jerseys as we have our jersey draft wrapping up here. Ari, go ahead.
Hey, good afternoon, fellas. How are you?
I'm good. Love Warminster, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've been here for about a decade now, moving in from Northeast Philly. So, yes, I enjoy it as well. All right, jerseys. I haven't heard you guys talk about jerseys recently. I know you had a couple of calls, but we're kind of missing a professional soccer team here that needs to get represented, that nearly won the MLS Cup. I know normally it's 4 for 4, but you got to be 5 for 5 if you're a true Philadelphia now, the way the Union has played the last few years. And this guy's main reason why, and he's going to be here for at least another 2 or 3 years, maybe more, I'm going Andre Blake for my jersey.
That's a great selection. That's a fantastic selection, and it's good to hear from you, Art. That is a great selection just for everything he does for that team. And years-wise, I get leery. I mean, obviously, you never know when someone might be eyeing your talent.
Or when some team is willing to sell it off for something.
Right. That's why I get leery there in the soccer. But it's a fantastic, fantastic pick by you in terms of talent.
I think Blake has been with the Union for, obviously, since he was drafted several years back. Pretty sure he's one of the only ones under contract for multiple years after 23, I think. But, yeah, soccer guys do move around. But I think Blake's been around for a little bit. He should be here for a couple more years.
So, Ari, let's recap. Actual Union players won, Flyer players nothing on the jerseys right now. Flyers mascot won.
Flyers mascot won. Yeah, I heard that conversation earlier. I mean, I'm not going to say any Flyers names. There's a couple, I think, that could be around, but people are just so down on the Flyers. Like, I get it. I mean, the Union played in the MLS Cup and were maybe a minute away from winning that thing out in L.A. So, yeah. I mean, they're a much better team with much better talent right now. So I'm not surprised. I mean, for a lot of people, Union might have passed the Flyers in terms of
interest. Whoa.
Some people.
Some people. But
I didn't say all people.
I know. I'm just putting because and Ari, thanks for the call. I appreciate it. I remember hearing a fly. Am I hitting the wrong button, by the way, on this?
I think on this one, yes.
On this one, yeah.
Hey, Matt.
There you go. Hey, sorry about that. First timer. On this one, I heard actually a reporter say, "Well, why doesn't my outlet cover the Union the same way they cover the Flyers?" It's just not there yet. It's getting closer. A couple more years like this, and it will be. But I'm not sure the Flyers.
Very close to me.
You think it's getting close?
Yeah, close.
Is it because of the generation thing? Maybe because of my generation. My generation will probably look at the big 4 for 4, and that's it. I mean,
they force you every time you say 4 for 4 to be like, well, the Union, and that's kind of the next step into the realm here. Is now it's not even like a conversation of dismissing them; it's a conversation of including them.
I will say that the new TV deal MLS has, where they're not going to be on local television like they've been.
That hurts.
Is not a smart idea.
That one hurts.
I mean, the fact that you're going to have to sign up for the streaming service, I get it. The people who follow MLS are probably more advanced than you are if you're following Major League Baseball, for example, on using streaming services. But I just don't think they were ready for that business portal yet. The NFL can do it. Baseball can do it a little bit because they had so much advancement in it. I just don't think the MLS is at that point where they should have been taking the product away from the people readily.
Yeah, because you're not going to get a random afternoon at a bar with Apple.
No, you're not.
And that, I mean, to me, that's like the ultimate question of if you can walk into an establishment and they can flip it on easily, and that's something that people will keep on the television, you're probably doing it good for yourself.
Well, that's the thing now with Sunday Ticket going over to YouTube. Now, I think it's a little more accessible with YouTube because everybody pretty much has YouTube on their phone.
Right.
But that's going to be interesting to me, how Sunday Ticket translates to that as opposed to what it's been with DirecTV or even...
So they're going to YouTube TV.
They're going to YouTube TV.
Right.
They're going for a premium subscription still, but you have access to YouTube TV on your phone easily. I guess you do with Apple, but it's the same type of feeling.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see how it all shakes out there. I'm when it comes to football watching, I'm pretty on the watching.
You're not a multiple game guy?
I'll do Red Zone.
I'm a flipper. I've had DirecTV for the last 14 years, and I've gotten used to having the 8 screens up at once.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I'll have the Eagles on one screen to itself, like as far as with the second television, but I'll have the other 8 up and kind of picking and choosing and moving the audio over to that one when I can.
Yeah, I'm a dual screen setup. I am Red Zone and Eagles.
Red Zone and Eagles? That's it?
Okay. Yeah. I'll do a quick flip, Eagles, quick flip over, and looking at Red Zone, back to the Eagles, back to Red Zone. I'm what you would consider your classic Philadelphia of Eagles.
Yeah, I'm more of a look around. Like I do it with baseball all the time. I'll watch the multi-screen.
I'm a big MLB TV guy where whenever the Phillies, I'll have the Phillies on and then I'll have something going on the laptop and kind of casually looking down at what's happening elsewhere. Late night, big fantasy baseball guy, so that also keeps me up late with waiting for nobody knows anything about stress until you are watching a middle reliever try and get a hold in
with a fantasy baseball.
Yeah, for the A's in like the middle of August. That's stress.
I'll admit I've had the obviously with doing baseball I had the MLB package for a long time too.
Right.
And I used to love coming home from games and listening to the Dodgers with Scully, and that's something actually I think. By the end of the week, we all start our end of the year stuff, and Vin Scully passing away was a big moment in baseball this year. But I used to love that aspect of it. So you became more connected with the Dodgers, became more connected with the Giants, who had Mike Krukow, Dwayne Kuiper, John Miller doing their TV broadcasts a lot. All right, now this is a dumb question. I grew up in the era where you had one American League team, one National League team. Are you that way? Because in that era, you didn't have the crossover that you have.
Right. The thing was, my name is Ray. The Rays became the Rays when I was young. So I was like, well, that's just easy for me. I mean, just pick up. And then it ended up being that they met in the World Series. And ever since then, I kind of had to distance myself from my American League team for a moment.
Right.
So I guess they're still technically it. My mom's a Yankees fan, but she grew up in North Jersey, New York area, New York family. So, but I never could get fully around the idea of the Yankees, especially after what they did when I was younger in 2009. So
Right.
I never really had the full grasp.
Matt, it's so funny to hear when I was younger, and it's 2009.
Yeah.
Like it was
Sorry,
like in the
I hate
black
doing
and
this.
white era.
I hate doing this to
How
everyone.
old were you in 2009?
Do you want to know that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think you do.
Yes, I do.
No, I don't think you do.
11?
Higher or lower?
No comment.
That's lower. That means 10.
No.
Was your voice changing yet?
No.
That's all right.
I'm just being honest with you guys. They told me that when I put on the mic. That's
Be honest.
Be honest. Be truthful. I'm being truthful right here. I was younger than 10.
When the Phillies were in the World Series in 2009, you were younger than 10.
Correct. That's right. No, that's not actually right. Khalil Wilson checking in on YouTube saying I was 6. I was not 6.
You were not 6?
I have graduated college in 4 years.
Well,
And I did that
that's
in the
one
spring.
step ahead of me.
I did that in this. I did that in the spring.
I was on the Plutarski plan of like 20 years. My American League team, by the way, was the Orioles.
Ooh, that's a good pick. My girlfriend's family, Orioles fans. So I
because-
think Orioles will have to pick up.
And I'm actually going. And by the way, tomorrow, if you're watching the best show ever, I will reveal my Hall of Fame ballot.
I saw it.
Ray has.
I
Ray
have
has
the
seen
inside information. Solid.
Any major disagreements?
The quick glance, I'd have to look over it again for the major disagreements. There was one player that I thought you didn't have that I would talk about. But other than that, I thought it was solid group.
We'll talk about that tomorrow. Maybe even on the little crossover thing if we do that.
Yeah, I gotta have you stop in.
Yeah, we'll stop in.
Why not? We'll have some fun.
But the Orioles, when it was Cal, Eddie Murray, playing in
Makes sense.
at Memorial Stadium, then moving to Camden Yards. I was a huge Oriole fan. Camden Yards is still incredible.
Oh, I love it.
I heard somebody complain that the Phillies and the baseball schedule. And by the way, we might as well segue in the final 10 minutes and talk about the Phillies. But the new baseball schedule, if you haven't noticed, you will play everybody this year. You are not just playing a certain interleague. You will play everybody at least one series. They have cut down on the number of games in your division, which is fine with me. I'm okay with 12 Phillies Mets games as opposed to the 19.
I would love some more, just because the rivalry's getting good. Like
but it makes those 12 games more meaningful. Plus, it also means not 12 games against the Nationals as opposed to 19.
I just don't get the same juice for them to go play out in the West Coast against the American League West team.
Okay, but you might see Mike Trout here every other year now.
Yeah.
It helps the sport. It helps the sport.
Yeah, it helps in terms of exposure. I'm thinking about the number of times that I can roll in there to Citizens Bank Park when it's Mets Phillies and I can be fired up.
Okay.
All right, now I have to address something here.
Go
Before we turn to
ahead.
these.
So I just saw this. Go ahead.
Okay. Listen.
This is blasphemy. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
All right. I'll deal with the young jokes. You can make jokes about me being young. In terms of height, I am about 6 feet tall. I am taller than Egan.
I can
Most
vouch
certainly
for
taller
that.
than Egan.
Yeah.
Love Pat Egan, but I'm taller than Pat Egan.
The chairs and the mic angles don't help you with this. It doesn't.
No, it does not.
Because it
does
looks
not.
like the microphone's over your head if you're looking on YouTube right now. There, I'm now making you self-conscious on this.
It's fine. I just want to check that. I want to make sure we got control of that one before. The YouTube chat going after me for height. See, this is what I mean. Me and the YouTube chat get along well for a little while.
Everyone is taller than Egan.
He does say that.
Yes, he does.
All right, to the Phillies.
All right, Phillies. You're not in love with Craig Kimbrell.
I thought that I'm not loving it. It's just more of a, like, to be fired up to get this version of Craig Kimbrell would be in overreaction in my mind. I think it's a fine signing, but I think you're going to get more in the name recognition than you're going to get actual game from him this summer.
I think he's okay. I think, look, it's one of those, I know $10 million doesn't sound like it's a cheap contract. It's not, but it's also, you're not counting on him to be the closer. You have it for 1 year. If it doesn't work, you just fling it out the window.
Well, you have that. That's the clear thing for me. He's not the closer. I do not want to see him closing games.
Well, if Dominguez gets hurt and you look down the road, then he may end up being the closer. He could be Dave Robertson, not Dave Robertson.
Yeah, that's
6, but that's all different.
That's a fine role for him, like being Dave Robertson. But when it comes down to it, and I don't need the traditional closer. I'm not one with the whole bullpen roles things. But if he's gonna be my high leverage guy, if you're giving me him in the biggest moments, pass.
Well, you're going to get him a big moment.
He's going to get big moments, but I'm not looking for him. Like, when it comes to bullpen depth chart, the guys that I would want to see first out of the bullpen, he's not amongst the two options I would want to see first.
You want to see Dominguez?
I want to see Dominguez and Alvarado before I see Kimbrell.
You're certain Alvarado is going to come back as what he was last year, and I'm not so sure on that.
Well, you can have your doubts about that. And from what I saw from Kimbrell and the way things have declined for him, I am not so certain that that's the version of this pitcher, the version of Kimbrell we're getting, is the one that I want in the big moments.
Their bullpen is still the weakness. I think there's no doubt on that. I don't think there's any doubt of the fact that they are probably in need of one more arm.
Yeah, I would still be out there for one more arm.
There's not. It's one of those that maybe you find in your system. I'm not sure I'd overpay for it at this point, but they're in a decent spot. The problem is everybody else.
Yeah, they're getting at
They are again. Remember how YouTube was nice?
Nah, it's cool. I love the YouTube people. Sorry, I was smiling over the screen.
Yo, cuz, what's up with that haircut? I shave bald too. Yes. Unfortunately, I didn't shave. This is just not nature.
It's going to happen to me.
Oh, yeah.
I'm ready.
Okay. But I think for them, it's at a point where you're in the hunt with the Braves, with the Mets. I don't see anybody from behind who's going to catch you to knock you out of the playoffs.
No.
Because Milwaukee's going to take a step back. The Giants have had a disastrous offseason. The teams that did not make the playoffs last year, I don't think anybody's made that massive leap forward that you would be super concerned about them at this point. So you kind of it's time to tinker for them to see who can fill in those roles in the bullpen.
Yeah, and I'm not sitting here to say they shouldn't have signed Craig Kimbrell. I don't think that's where. I don't want that to be what it comes across as. And I'm not worried about $10 million when they're just going to exceed what they exceed.
I like the Kimbrell signing more than Matt Strahm.
Really?
Yes.
Well, how so?
I just don't trust Matt Strahm.
Okay. That's
flat
fair.
out. I mean, you have two lefty options right now. And we're thinking Falder may end up in that.
Could be.
If once eventually he gets moved to the bullpen. Alvarado and Strahm as my lefties, I'm not thrilled with. No.
I would be cool if they went out and got Chafin. Chafin was I was being the drum for Chafin.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's strange because bullpen arms, Jason Stark has mentioned this time and time to me. It's like a mantra. Relievers you get after a bad year. You always get a reliever after a bad year because they tend to bounce back. That's just the nature of being a reliever. And when they have 2 bad years, they're usually out of the game, i.e., what you saw last year with oh God, I'm forgetting his name all of a sudden. The Familia.
Yeah. Well, he ended up with the Red Sox, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think
he signed for a deal for this year. This is what they are. This is what it's going to be. It's going to be tinkering and trying to get guys on bounce back years. That's not a bad option to be. If having Dave Dombrowski picking it is pretty good.
Yeah, I trust Dombrowski. And again, I don't want this to come across that I'm against the Kimbrell signing. It just doesn't excite me. And I feel like your bullpen got better, but to the marginal level of a high leverage, someone I want there in the big moment, I don't know if you're getting that version of Kimbrel. It was not like the underlying numbers for him last year suggest
You're
that
taking the Dodgers Kimbrel. I'm looking more at the White Sox Kimbrel the year before, who was pretty good.
Yeah, but to me, the underlying regression for him seems to be moving there. Chase rate's down.
His velocity's down. He has to transform himself as a pitcher. He can't be a flamethrower anymore. I think he's smart enough to know that.
Yeah, I think he's smart enough to know that. I just don't know if we find that new version. I don't know. I don't know what that version of Kimbrel is. So I'll be skeptical of that version of Kimbrel.
Like I'm not throwing a parade and hoisting balloons over it. But I think it's a solid signing. I really do. I don't have any problem with them signing him the way they did.
Okay, I'm just skeptical. I don't know.
I get it.
I don't know if it's again, I'm not.
I could be sitting here in June and saying I was completely wrong too.
And so could I. I mean, that's kind of where we're at with him. I'm not going to go to, the airport, tell him to turn around the plane and tell him not to show up to town. But I'm not also jumping on board with like, oh, this is game breaking for them.
Did they do enough in the offseason? Obviously Turner. Walker. I think they improved, but they're still going to have the major loss at least for the first half of the year without Harper.
Yeah, and I would love, like you said, one more arm in the pen, because I was already asking for one more arm, and you can tell that the Kimbrel thing's not moving the needle for me.
Well, I think that's going to be interesting to see how they handle that as well. Like the role he has is going to be the most important thing to take a look at as we get into spring training and kind of see where it goes. Part of my concern too is Dominguez with the arm, because he has these, that little stretch at the end of last year where before the playoffs they sat him down. It turned out to be a benefit for him, but it was still not comfortable to have your closer go down with an arm injury the way he did in late August, early September. So
we were sweating it there with your best reliever and your best starter for a month.
Well, yeah,
there.
with Wheeler getting hurt.
And that's, I'm curious to see how a lot of these pitchers bounce back from longer seasons than they've ever had, just month to month wise, and how they handle the offseason in general from playing it in November to the turnaround to February.
Yeah, don't expect.
March.
The one thing I could tell you from covering those teams back in the early portion of that run, don't expect them to leap out of the gate quick. They're gonna struggle early because, one, no Harper, and two, there's still a fatigue factor when you play as long a season as they did, especially with their pitching. They'll have a little bit of a hiccup here in April. Don't panic, but don't be surprised if they get off to a rough start too. So
and it's a number of guys who haven't had to manage playing past the first few days of October at all. Or if they have, it was not in the Phillies uniform, and it was quite a while ago.
Yep. Right, it's been fun.
That it has.
I want to thank Dan Fritz for producing from 10 to 12. Matt Manerick has been producing from 12 to 2. He's still wrong on the turkey opinion. Haley in the back answering phones. Coming up next here on 97.5 and on NBC Sports Philadelphia. It'll be the best show ever. Devon Givens will be filling in for you. That's it. That's all for us. I'm Kevin Cooney along with Ray Dunne. This has been the Midday Show on 97.5 The Fanatic.